is going on, everyone? It is episode 196, recorded on Sunday, February 4th, 2024. I'm Drew. And hey, John, a young couple is out for a romantic Valentine's Day walk along a country lane. They walk hand in hand as they stroll. The lad's lustful desire rises to peak. He's just about to get frisky when she says, "I hope you don't mind, but I really need to take a piss." Slightly taken back by the vulgarity, he suggests she goes behind a nearby hedge. She nods in agreement and disappears behind the shrubbery. As he waits, he can hear the sound of her tight panties rolling down her long legs and imagines what it would be like exposed. Unable to contain his animal thoughts a moment longer, he reaches through a gap in the foliage and his hand touches her leg. He quickly brings his hand further up her thigh until suddenly, with a great astonishment, he finds himself gripping a long, thick appendage that's hanging between her legs. He shouts in horror, "My God! Michelle, I had no idea you were actually a man." "No, you don't understand," she replies. "I changed my mind. I'm taking a shit instead."
Oh.
What is up, everybody? On tonight's show, first impressions of the Mario vs. Donkey Kong demo. It's a doozy. And we are getting a Nintendo Direct this week? Maybe. What's our thoughts on that? And lastly, we have been catching up on our backlog of games, just what else is there to play. John, happy February, buddy. How are you doing?
Yes, the last of the cold, depressing months. I took my my Christmas lights off the house this past week, and it's so sad. It's the worst. Now, our tree is still up, though.
Have you still put them on at night, or they were just up?
No, I took them down.
Yeah, but I'm saying up until now, were they still going on?
They were still lit up. They were on a timer. I did leave one strand in the tree next to my patio, and then we have our patio lights, but we've changed the patio lights to Valentine's colors.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah,
nice.
It's depressing. These are depressing cold months, but
there's
just one
not
more
much
month.
that happens on February. Is probably the most depressing month in existence. It's got to be, right?
Valentine's Day. That's it.
That's it.
And even that's a little depressing, actually. I had so my son went to Belize. Okay?
Belize. Now educate me. I'm a decent guy in geography. Where is Belize?
It's in Central America, so it's South America. It's like southeast of Mexico.
Now, God, your kids just live the fucking dream. It blows my mind. Like the way they travel is I don't know. It's like I'm jealous.
It was a $1,000 trip. Like we had to pay $1,000 for
lot of money.
Yeah, airfare, where they stayed, food, and all the activities they were doing.
See, that's something he'll never understand. That's a lot of money. I could have went towards a transmission, John.
I remind him. I know. And he was talking about taking it was a trip. Was it end up with a trip to Germany or something? And I was like, hell no. I think we talked about this. I was like,
how much
no
was that
way.
One?
I was like, you can't just do every trip that's going to cost it would have been like a couple thousand.
So, I got a dumb question. When you have a school trip to somewhere like that, if the kids decide not to go, what happened to those kids that don't go? I'm assuming their teacher and everything went?
Well, once they collect the money, I mean, yeah, they'll do these like classes. Like this class was about Belize, and it said there is a trip involved with this, and everyone sort of knows up front. There's no point really taking the class otherwise, but there are usually kids that don't go on the trips.
Sure.
But yeah, so they did the trip. I dropped him off last week at like super early in the morning on a Saturday. And then yesterday we had to pick him up. Here's the problem. We got the biggest snowstorm I remember in the last couple of years here in Denver.
Really?
It snowed hard all day. Sometimes it was like blizzard-like conditions, a heavy snow. It was a wet snow. And it was just all day long. And this is the worst snow we've had in a couple of years, at least in my area. and our car with all-wheel drive was sitting useless in the
Mm.
garage. So the only way we could pick up my son was to take our Honda, and I was very nervous about this. And like
You
throughout
have
the
like almost like a
day,
sports. I mean, I've seen it. It's like almost like a sports edition
it's a
Civic, right?
sporty
Is it
looking, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And it's front wheel drive, and I mean the snow was collecting, and it was a Saturday. People weren't driving; everyone was just staying home.
Hmm.
And I was telling Michelle through the day, I was like, "Can you ask, your friend to pick him up?" Because there was like several parents picking up the kids.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Can you ask?" Like, she had like Highlander, and I'm like, can you just ask her to pick him up? Like, so we'll meet him at their house or something. I wasn't sure if we'd get out of the neighborhood. I was dreading taking like what is normally like a little over a 30-minute drive to the airport.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we got not even to the driveway of the house next door to us. And I started spinning out, and then we were stuck, and then I moved a little bit, and then we were stuck, and that was the end of it.
So they
And I
didn't
looked,
even like plow your street yet.
no, they didn't plow at all. And I told Michelle, I said, you drive, I'll push. And I'm in the front of the car, and we're just trying to literally how close we are to the house. We're trying to reverse
Just to get
back.
back in the get out of the road.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you're stuck in snow, is reverse better than drive? I don't know. Usually you would just try to drive and get out, but we were just trying to
Yeah.
reverse. And literally, I just wanted to get the car back probably about 20 feet into like
God.
the parking space in front of the house, like
Well,
not even in the
At least
driveway.
if the plow came, like you're in the middle of the road at this point.
Yeah, yeah, just try to get out of there. And I get out, I start pushing, and within like, I want to say like 10 seconds, our neighbors across the street, the wife and I think it was like their au pair, I guess was there. They're like, "Do you need
Okay.
help?" And I'm like, "I think we're okay." And then like I'm
You were like, "No,
pushing.
we need help."
Yeah. And then she's like, "Do you need help?" And I was like, "Yeah, I probably need some help." We had them, three other dudes. I mean, there was like 8 people
That's awesome.
coming out with shovels, and it was like Cedric came out because he saw we were stuck. He took a video of us while we were trying to push
He's like, "Look at
before he
these
came
idiot
out.
parents." Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes out in his t-shirt. It was just like, oh my God, people shoveling behind tires are trying to push. Um, and yeah, I like eventually like Michelle was in the car reversing. I saw at one time she had the wheels turned the wrong way. I was like, turn the wheels the other
Oh,
way.
jeez.
And then eventually Cedric got in the car. And then we got it pushed into the driveway, but he was too late on the turn. So he ended up in the unshoveled portion of our driveway because I didn't
Oh, jeez.
shovel behind the minivan. And then he had to pull out and go in. It was fine. But it was like,
Wait,
wow, what a
so how'd
mess.
you get your kid?
So the parent that I was telling Michelle to call, her husband was going to drive. He has a big truck,
Yep.
and he was already going to pick up another kid.
And you were like, "Listen, we physically can't get there."
We can't get there. I mean, the only thing I could have otherwise done is call up an Uber, somebody in an F-150 who's probably going to charge triple
Yeah.
the rate, and
Yeah.
say, "Could you find my son in the airport and pick him up?" I don't know what else
Or
to do.
call your kid and just be like, I'll get there as soon as we can. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah, we also had my brother-in-law, which we could have asked in like a dire emergency. He's much closer to the airport,
Yep.
and he would have had a better chance to like pick him up or whatever. But I mean, it was just such a nightmare. But in the end, we bonded with our neighbors a little bit, and we didn't have to drive to the airport during a snowstorm.
That
Not that
sounds
bad.
like a win-win to me.
Win-win.
Win- Uh, I had a nice sleepover last night. My nephew and niece slept over, so I got no sleep. I'm pretty tired. Another 7 and 9-year-old in my house. They all slept in the same room, and it was a shit show. That's what happens, as you know, John, with sleepovers.
What?
It's just
How did you hold on a sec? Time out. Wait, time out. Still got timeouts on the clock here?
we do.
Were they in your room?
No, but they were down. We have a toy room upstairs. Hambo knows what I'm talking about because that's where he sleeps. It's a nice toy room. It has a lazy boy recliner, has a TV, but besides that, it's pretty open space, and we try to put all the toys in the closet. So when they want to play, they have the whole room. And
when
so they're just on the floor, sleeping bags, whole 9 yards. But it's the closest like room to the master bedroom down the hall. And yeah, they fell asleep around like 11. And then, of course, Goomba was mad because he heard them. And then Goomba decided to sleep on my side of the bed, which I don't typically allow. So it means didn't sleep well. And then they were up at 5 a.m. So it wasn't great.
They got 6 hours of sleep?
I know. I don't know. I mean, for kids, it's not good. I mean,
No. At what
no.
at what point do you go in and say, "It's time to go to" 11 o'clock is really late
Oh,
for you, isn't it?
I went in at the plan was 8 o'clock. We're gonna be done. We're gonna go in the room and we're gonna turn like relax time.
Yeah.
So, but they were like laying down by 8:30 and they watched the movie. Got over around 10 o'clock. You know, kids' movies are only an hour and a half. So I went in at 10 o'clock. I was like, all right, guys, it's time for bed. Blah, blah, you know. And then, yeah, I had to go in there a few more times between 10 and 11. It was like, just stop talking. Like, it's go to sleep time.
Right.
And then eventually, like 11ish, they fell asleep. So it is what it is. But
I do appreciate when like Cedric's doing a sleepover because his room is the furthest from ours. But
yep.
like Melody's room, we border with a wall. There's like a bathroom in between, but like it's kind of we border. It's just the further away the kids are, the better. Sometimes we'll have them just go down in the living room, just get far away from our room. I don't want to hear it.
No, yeah. I mean, there's space, but it traveled and they were being loud. But
Right.
just came back from a 40th birthday party at Topgolf. It was a lovely, lovely time. It was the first beer I had since Christmas, John. Just because I think like I've been drinking mostly water with the whole chubby bracket thing going on. I've just been not really drinking anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm entering.
One?
I had three.
Okay.
3 beers. And I didn't even have light beers. I should have had light beers. I'm entering like the 40-year-old binder because I have a lot of friends that are older than me. My brother's turning 40, so I booked a surprise party. My brother and his 2 best friends. We're all going to Myrtle Beach in May. We're super pumped.
Oh, okay. That's what that's for.
So yeah, I just told him. We told him this weekend. We didn't know how to do it. So we went on Cameo and we were gonna get like something. We were gonna get like a golfer or someone something.
Mickelson.
Yeah, there's a couple, but they're all witches. We're like, I don't want to spend a lot of money on this. So there was a Darth Vader impersonator, and it was $28. And we're like, that's the winner. Like he's been super into Star Wars. He never used to be. We're like, why not? It's cheap. Like it'll be funny, and it was incredible. Like so, it was like you have to say like tell us about some things about the person so we can like
Yeah.
write the script. So I wrote like all this. He loves Star Wars. He dressed as a Jedi for Halloween. He has a dog that he named Solo based off of Han Solo. So the guy does this incredible 3-minute video, which I thought would be like 40 seconds. And it's so weird because I don't know where in like the exchange of messages he lost this interpretation, but he's like, you're going to Myrtle Beach to play 72 holes of golf and what do you say? Like your feline friend Solo is coming with you. And I'm like, wait, what? We're bringing the dog? And it was like the weirdest, but it just added to it. It just made it that much better. So when we sent him the message, he's like, is my dog coming? And I'm like, no, just ignore that. But yeah, we're excited. It's gonna be a shit show of fun time. So
Wow.
I'm excited for that.
You have me looking at Cameo trying to find like
You can't miss it. If you just type in Darth Vader, it's probably the best one. It's probably the top one.
I put in Golf Girl. That was my first thought. Golf Girl.
Is that an option?
There's like these golf girls. There's Jonathan Yarwood.
Yeah, but how much are these things?
Jonathan Yarwood is $50.
I don't even know who that is.
There's Fit Golfer Girl.
She hot?
And you know what? Like this one, I don't know if this is the real person. It is. Oh,
who?
$15. Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore.
No way! I would have done that.
That would have been good. I'm looking at the way it's like ranked at like $4.99.
There's no way that's the right one.
It is. It's got a demo video.
You just sent me the link.
That is so funny.
All right, no. Shooter McGavin is $2.50 for 4.99 stars.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, a message is $15.
I gotta know. Do you think people are truly paying $250 for that?
If anyone's gonna do it. Oh, Mia Hamm would have been cool. Oh no, that's soccer. Sorry, I somehow ended up on the wrong sport.
I looked at golf. There's not a lot for golf. We looked, believe me.
Yeah, I mean these golf girls are. I don't really know. Whatever. I don't know. Darth
That's what I
Vader
would do.
is funny though. It's just it feels
It was
random. I
funny.
know like the dog and everything, but it's like Luke, you
I'll send you the video because you can share it with anybody, and I'll let you watch it tomorrow. It's funny.
come to the golf course.
But yeah, that's about it. Tat season has started. My wife's been busy at work, means more work on me, which
Yeah.
sucks. But what are you gonna do?
Your kids are older now. So before every
Yeah.
show, you always say you're putting the kids to bed.
It has been getting less and less time, if
It's
you've
less and less
noticed.
time, and then
Yeah.
I get the brewing message,
Mm.
and that always takes the same time because science.
Yep.
At what point will I not get the putting kids to bed? It'll be like waving goodnight to the kids, brewing.
Yeah. Well, we used to read books with them, kids' books and stuff every night. You read 5-10 minute books with them.
Yeah,
And now a lot of it is they want to read books by themselves.
I
My
see.
daughter she's like super getting into Harry Potter. She just read the entire first Harry Potter book, which again isn't like, I mean, she's 9. It's not like it's a crazy book. She read the entire book from start to finish in 2.5 weeks. And like, I don't know if I would have read it that fast, but she crushed
Hard
it.
to
And
put down. Yeah,
she's already into the second one. So she's
they're
obsessed.
great
She's
books.
loving it up.
Yeah, they're great books. They're hard to put down.
I've never read them. I do like Harry Potter, so I might have to give it a go.
Oh, they're astounding. There's a lot in them that's not in the movie. So
They're probably easy reads, I would assume, especially if
yeah,
you've seen the movies.
they get longer and longer. I think every book gets longer until the 6th book, which is like a little bit smaller, and then the 7th book, which is a little bit smaller. But by the time you get to the 5th book, it's like these are gigantic books.
Well, the 4th one's huge.
Yeah,
So
but
she
they
said.
just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But they're just so hard to put down, and they're great. And the font isn't really small like some of those other books or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, they're really good. Those are the only books that and like the Ender's Game books are the only ones that I've like reread.
Yeah.
They're really good.
I need to do that.
Good Christmas time books. All right.
Alrighty.
Well, let's start the show with what we've been playing.
Let's.
And we're about balance this week. Look at us. I'm proud. I just want to give an update on a few PlayStation games before I get into what I talk about. But I am still playing that DLC mode on the Last of Us Part 2, No Return.
Oh, the little zombie roguelike kind of survival thing.
Yeah, it's so good.
Is it beatable or no?
Is it what?
Is it like beatable, or is it just like beat your record type thing?
I have finished one run. I've been playing it a lot.
Okay.
I would say I've played about 20 hours maybe, and I beat one freaking run with Manny, who is a fairly small character. But the first time I tried him, I actually won. So I wonder if I could do it again.
Okay.
A lot of the times I focus on the challenges that you have to do to unlock certain outfits and stages and all sorts of different like game modes. And so sometimes I'll play a level where I'm like, well, I'm not going to like purchase arrows because I want to craft them because I need to craft 20 of these. So there's a lot of runs where I'm maybe not totally intending on trying to finish the run, but I've played a lot of runs where I intend to finish. I've only done one. I've been playing on the moderate, which is the default difficulty, but it's hard.
Okay.
And I've gotten to the final bosses. I've probably lost like 4 or 5 final boss battles. So I've gotten to the end. But oftentimes I'm overwhelmed. It's still so good. But I am getting close to the part where I'm going to be like, let's tick down the difficulty now because I'm having trouble making progress on the challenges or anything.
Sure.
And honestly, beating a run doesn't really grant you much. I finished the run and I don't think I really got anything for it.
It didn't open up anything really.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple challenges right now that are like finish a run with your original guns. And then there's one that's like finish a run with unlocking all the guns. So it's like at this point, it's really just about the challenges. But every time you finish a run, you get to the next level boss. So the next run you do, the final boss will be this next thing. So the only motive really is to get through all the bosses.
Yep.
But I'm getting to the point where I'm going to tick down the difficulty because I'm just not getting much success right now at moderate. It's hard.
It happens. A similar story that I'm going to talk about shortly about that.
Yeah. But I've had a lot of fun with it. I've definitely got my money's worth for it.
Nice.
I am replaying Elden Ring. And the reason why I'm not sure entirely, there There are some rumblings the DLC might be coming out fairly soon, actually.
Okay.
And I just wanted to play through it again. And I have such a love-hate relationship with this game. There are
Really?
times when I play this game, I love it. And then times I fucking hate it. And I'm playing it the second time. I'm playing as a magic user. I
Mhm.
picked an astrologer class, which is the only class that comes with spells and a staff. So like one of the only ones that can do magic
Mhm.
right out of the gate.
Nice.
And I've enjoyed it. Some of the bosses that I spent way too much time trying to beat the first time I played, I beat on the first try.
Okay.
I've had some fun, but then I hit this portion of the game where it's like, gee, like these bosses are insane. And I followed a guide that got me a really powerful wand and a really powerful spell. And it's I think one of the mistakes of the game is you get a horse mount fairly early in the game, and then you can just ride through all the most difficult terrain in the whole map. And
Okay.
there's this one spot where there's just a wand kind of out in the open. So it's like I followed this path, got this powerful wand that is really powerful just because someone said, here it is in the map, go get it. You don't have to beat a boss. You don't have to do anything. You
Sounds
just
like
have
a
to
cheat
ride
mode.
to it. And you just take your horse and fly past enemies. You don't even have to fight them, right? I did that. And then I got to hit another wall this weekend. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do the bird thing. And so there is this well-known grinding area. It's kind of a bug, but they haven't fixed it in 2 years. So, and they know about it. Everybody knows about it. There's this area on a cliff where you shoot an arrow at this very powerful bird thing from across the way. And it gets mad because it gets hit and it starts running at you, but you are on a cliff across a chasm. And the bird will actually fall off the cliff into the chasm and die. And you get rewarded with
Like you
experience
killed.
points, essentially. Yeah.
Huh. Now, really quick, refresh my memory. Elden Ring's this kind of open world, similar to like a
Mhm.
Witcher type game. This is the one that George R. R. Martin was involved in all that nonsense.
Yeah, the story.
More
I
for
have always
probably
felt the
promotional.
story. Yeah, the story. There's not much story going on. It's really like all lore.
But
The
it's
characters
like
do
third
nothing but say,
person action
yeah,
adventure.
third person, open world, whatever.
Okay.
It is as close to like Breath of the Wild in terms of sheer openness. You really can just go anywhere.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at some screenshots. It looks like my cup of tea, I guess.
I mean, this is one of the great games of all time. Yes, it's
Correct.
everybody's,
Yeah.
but it's really fucking frustrating. So I am back here. I'm shooting arrows. I'm grinding, and now my character got really powerful. I got past the second major boss. Whatever. I still feel like this game is throttled too high. It definitely needed a kind of an easier. I shouldn't be here exploiting a bug, and it is telling that they
Sure.
still haven't fixed this because they know like some people just wouldn't be able to play the game. Like people wouldn't. I honestly would have quit this game twice if it wasn't for the whole wand thing and this bird thing. I would be quit by now. So this is what's keeping me in the game. And I think that's just kind of messed up game design. But
Mhm.
yeah, so now I'm going to spend some time adventuring. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, if the DLC comes out at the right timing, I might do the DLC, or I don't know. The DLC might be some super challenging thing and I probably won't play it anyway. But when I love Elden Ring, I love Elden Ring. And when I hate Elden Ring, I loathe Elden Ring. So that's what we're doing. And then I'm also replaying Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think I played it like 6 or 7 months ago. But I loved it so much, and Rebirth is coming out in 25 days. That's the sequel. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I just wanted to play it again, get the story in my head. It's so good. I mean, like, it's so good. I think this is the greatest remake ever made. Like if you played Final Fantasy VII and loved it, and then played this is just mind blowing. And I remember the first teaser, people's minds exploded, and you really just saw Cloud for like a few seconds. Then when they did the first real trailer, I mean, just when you see Tifa and Aerith and all these characters, I mean, it really is. It's a stunning remake. It's fantastic. And I'm having as much fun the second time as I am the first time because the characters are so good.
Nice.
So I am I'm going through this one, and then Rebirth comes out on the 29th. So I'm super excited for that.
Nice.
Okay. I want to talk about Prince of Persia.
Oh,
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is the recent Ubisoft Metroidvania that hit all consoles. It was designed for the Switch, but it ended up being ported everywhere. And this is Metroidvania, platforming. Basically, it's a Metroidvania. And I mean, that's really all I have to say. We know what they're like. I know a lot of people in the community are playing them. It got great reviews and all that stuff. I'm here to throw some water on the fire a little bit. I gotta say, let me start with the positives here, because there are positives. I finished the game. Okay, I finished it this weekend,
nice.
so I'm not what I'm about to do is not shit all over a game, right? So I want to talk about the positives because there's plenty of positives. Platforming in this game is incredible. It's so much fun. I've played a lot of Metroidvanias, and usually the platforming is not super difficult, or if there is some difficulty, it's in like a little section, not extended sections, or it's almost like parkour. This game has these very elaborate sections where you're doing some crazy, double jump, dash. There is an ability you get where you can press L and it'll freeze your character in place where it was, like a ghost, and then you'll just continue on. And then at any point you press L and your character will zap right back to where the ghost was.
Okay.
And there's so many things you can do with this capability. And over the course of time, you realize like maybe, it's for this one thing or something. And then you figure out, there's a moving wall and I have to put my ghost there. And when the wall moves closer to me, then I zap to the other side. But then there are like platforming sections where it's not just jumping and dashing, it is using the ghost in very creative ways. And these challenges are like fantastic. Like the platforming is incredible in this game. Probably the best platforming in a Metroidvania I've ever seen, because they usually don't really focus on this stuff. That's it. Everything about the game other than that is bland or not great. The story is super boring. It's super boring. The prince has been kidnapped. So you are a character, Saigon, and you are part of a group called the Immortals. Just this, I don't know, elite fighting group in Persia. And the prince gets kidnapped. So you don't play the prince. Prince gets kidnapped. And you have to go to this mountain where he's been taken. And there's some weird things going on with the mountain, with time and whatever. And the person who took him, like you learn about why they took him, whatever. From that point on, the whole story is completely boring. And I hate it. I hated the story. It could have been good, and it wasn't. The locomotion in the game, I don't know why. You know when you play Metroidvanias and it's either initially or at some point in the game, every little save point you find, you can warp to. Okay.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, you can do that. Elden Ring, you can do that. Like you just, anywhere you hit a little save point or whatever, you can then warp to. No, this game didn't want to do that. You can't go to any warp, any save point. There's only specific warp points, and they are much fewer and far between. I would say there is no more than a dozen in the entire map, and it's a huge map. And you can't warp there unless you're at a warp point. So you can't just warp from anywhere. And I think Hollow Knight did that too. You can't just warp from anywhere. You have to go to a warp point. And that really kills the exploration for me. And Justin on this past Nintendo Dad show said he finished the game at 65%, and he's not really interested in trying to like 100%. And I'm betting you this is why. Because you go to an area to explore, you explore around, and you're like, okay, there's nothing here. I went to this little spot, and I found something maybe, and there's nothing else here. And you're like, oh my God, I got to trudge all the way back to the warp point. So then I could go find another warp point that's going to be far away from some other area I want to explore. I don't know why they didn't let you just warp between the save points. I thought maybe when the game ended, they would do that. No, I don't like that. It just makes discovery. I played Blasphemous 2 a month ago, and you can do that. And so I had so much fun exploring every little corner because I could always get to a little save point that was nearby. I really wish they would have had that. And then the combat is when we saw the trailers, it was all about like slide under their legs and slash them from behind and like that sort of thing. It looked really fun. I didn't love it because they overteach you techniques. Like there's this section of the game where you can do combat training, and you talk to the guy, and there's like, I remember I was watching one of the Marvel movies while he did this whole thing. There's like 15, 16, 17 like combat training tutorials. Like what? Like, oh my God, there's so many. And I went through every single one. And there's like, okay, press up and Y to fling them in the air, and then press Y, Y, Y in the air, and then press forward Y, and then Y, and then down Y. It's like all of these like combos. And in the end, all the game really is, and someone who's like way better than me can prove me wrong, is ZR to dash, up and Y to hit punt someone in the air, maybe down and Y to do like a slam, and then Y. That's it. And I don't know why they have all these like difficult things. You can slide on the ground and kick up and whatever. And sure, you can use that from time to time. But like 80% of the combos are pointless. So like you don't need these combos. They don't really do anything. They're not fun to watch. There's no animations involved. And then when you fight a boss, these bosses are so big and they fly around the screen so fast and they throw so much shit at you all the time. You can't do any of these combos. It is survival. So you're just jumping and dashing and swinging, and then you have like a super attack. You can use like a ZL and Y or ZL and X. You have two different super attacks you can have assigned at any given time. That's it. That's all it is. Also, the game is very centric with parrying. But they tell you, hey, if they attack you and you see a red flash, that means you can't parry. Guess what 90% of the boss attacks do? It's like they're always red attacks. They're ridiculous. And then in the bosses, the only time there's like a yellow flash and it says if you do a parry on a yellow attack, it's a big counter attack. And it does. It makes an animation happen when you're fighting the boss. And that's the only way to really beat the bosses is you have to make sure you do those parries those times. Other than that, that's it. It is oversold. They throw too much at you, and in the end with the bosses, it's just survival and make sure you do that one parry, and that's it. It makes it less fun. And then the last thing I'll say about the combat is the little enemies that are in the world, and not the bosses, but the little enemies. A lot of them take way too many attacks. I want to run through a level and go smack, smack, and keep going, and smack, and this, and jump, and whatever. You very quickly in the game, probably within like a few hours, you just get trained psychologically to just dash past everybody. There's no point in killing these enemies. They will drop some gems, currency, and that's really it. They don't drop anything of real interest. If you want to find items, you're going to find them in the world or in chests. They're just going to drop money. And there's times when I wish I had more money, but like, there's no motivation. It's like some of the Paper Mario games where it's like, you have trained me not to want to fight enemies. There's more value in me traversing the world more quickly to get to where I need to go than to stop and fight every little enemy that approaches me. So that was disappointing too. Also, it's a little buggy. Nothing crazy that I think shouldn't be patched out fairly soon, but it's been a month or whatever it's been. It's a little buggy. I had some soft locks after beating a boss where I'm just frozen. I've had that happen quite a few times actually. Nothing that really cost me tons of progress, but I would have to like restart and that sort of thing. That stuff seems resolvable. It's not like inherent in the gameplay. But yeah, I played through the whole game before they could fix that stuff or whatever. So I'm a little disappointed because going in, I thought this was a potential Game of the Year candidate for me, and it isn't. I'm going to give it like a 7, a 7 out of 10, which is still a good game.
Yep.
And I love the platforming. If I were them, I would give the enemies like half their health, and I would just make more ability to counter with bosses and play like Prince of Persia against bosses. There is a couple bosses, Odon, I think, or Orod, and the guy who does the arrows, Smelanos or whatever, just fucking ridiculous. That you start the fight and they're like boom, 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 boom. These like huge attack. It's like this is my peer. We are like, I think there's 7 immortals. This is my peer. It's like if you're a basketball player and your peer is like Shaq. It's like this, you are not a peer of mine. You are way above here, but somehow I'm your peer and I'm going to defeat you. Yeah, I was a little disappointed by it, but platforming is fantastic. I just wish they let you zip around the map. I would totally keep going. My completion was like 55%. 55. I think it was like 55%, and I have no motivation to finish. Same as Justin. It's so much effort to get around the map. I don't feel like doing it. But otherwise very good. Oh, and by like 3/4 of the way through the game, I went to the options. I didn't put it in easy mode, but I did give all the enemies half health, half attack power. I did adjust it, and it made the game way better. It made it way better. Also, make sure you go to the blacksmith. Never forget the blacksmith. Make sure you're constantly upgrading your swords. You really only have the one swords, those 2 blades. There's no other weapons that you have. Make sure you level those up. You need them because those last bosses you will fight them for an hour. But yeah, so I'm a little disappointed, but it's still a 7 out of 10. I still liked it overall, especially once I throttled down the health and everything. But so close. If they could literally make a couple of adjustments and make it really great, it could be a 9. Seriously, just so close there. The bones are there.
So
right, what have you been playing?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I had all intentions of playing this game, Prince of Persia, and I downloaded the demo and instantly knew this game was not for me. Like you said, there were some really good qualities. It looks fantastic. Like you said, designed for the Switch. It felt great moving wise. But the number one thing for me was the combat did not feel fun. It just didn't. It was like you said, I don't want to say the average enemies weren't squishy enough, but they weren't, right? Like you said,
squishy.
You had to do these weird combos on them, and then you had to dodge or block or parry everything. It was not for me at all. Saved myself $50. It kind of sounds like, I mean, you know me, it wasn't a Drew game. I think
You're not a Metroidvania guy. I love Metroidvanias.
Yeah, I'm not. So instead, I've been played because I beat it. Untitled Goose Game, John. Long overdue.
Yeah.
My kids loved it. I only played while they watched on the TV. Just comical. Just even trying to figure out what to do. You know, I didn't want to look anything up. And there's certain things that are a little tricky to really stop and think about it for a minute. Like, well, what am I trying to do? What's the objective here? You know, it's all simple and it's there, but it's just trying to do it. Just a fantastic, fun, witty little make you giggle, great little game. I mean, if you never played Untitled Goose Game, you could probably beat the entire game in definitely under 5 hours. So it's not like it's this big game. Really enjoyed it. It was something I probably should have played sooner.
It's a 10 out of 10 game, and I there's nobody I wouldn't recommend it to. Like,
agreed.
Some people will say, here are the kind of games I like, and I'll be like, no, Untitled Goose Game. Everybody, there's anybody who doesn't like Untitled Goose Game shouldn't play games.
It's not really a genre of games. It's not a game that, like you said, that people like or don't. It's just fun. It's just a simple game. The other thing, John, based off 2 weeks ago, you sat here and you told me about an old game that you and Michelle played called Pode. Where you play as
Pode.
It's pronounced Pode?
Yeah, it's pronounced Pode.
Pode.
Yeah. Very foreign languagey.
So it's really built around this co-op type gameplay. I'm not going to get into it because listen 2 weeks ago to John play, right? Where you play as essentially this rock character and this star/sun character. Of course, I've been playing as the rock. My wife has been playing as the sun or star. It's just how it works out, right, John? That's how we always work out.
You take the gross rock.
Yeah, but the fact that you can eat the sun and then walk around is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
We played the first 3 worlds, so good little chunk, right? Enough to see, I think, of a wide variety of the game. At first, I think after towards the end of the first world, I'm like, this game's a little repetitive, boring, because it's just you're literally just walking around holding ZR. You know, but then it's like you realize that the first world was really just a tutorial type thing, and it
Mhm.
starts to open up like, oh, you got a new ability, or there's this new feature in the game, or this new mechanic, and it's like, okay, and then it grabs you in, and then it's just as soon as that mechanic starts to dry up again, bam, it throws you into the new world, the next one. A lot of fun. The price tag is high, right? $25 I paid. I
Uh,
didn't. I probably should have waited till it was on sale, but
Should have waited.
we had, you know what it was? It was yesterday, John, and we had the sleepover going on, and all the kids were upstairs playing, and it was like a weird time, like, I think it was like right after dinner. It was like 5:30. We're like, well, what do you want to do? Like the kids are upstairs. You don't want to watch a movie because you know they didn't come up and down. So like, let's play a video game. And I was like, what's this? Watch this trailer. John told me about this, and she's like, this looks fun. Let's play it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Pode, Pode, that's how you spell it. Give it a go if you're looking for a co-op game. I would say put it on your wish list. And buy it when it's probably a little bit cheaper on sale. But if you're looking for a little co-op game with your wife or significant other, this is a fun little. It doesn't really require your significant other to be like a skilled video game player either. It's more of a puzzle solving exploration game, and
Yeah,
it's
the other
fun.
nice thing is if you press X, you can switch characters.
Correct. You can play
And
solo. Yeah.
I know you can actually play solo. So if you have a significant other who doesn't normally play games and they have some trouble, you don't even have to switch the controllers. You just press
No.
X and then you can move them into position and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yep. A lot of fun. I have one more game I want to talk about, John. I want to know into detail. So if I can go, or you want to go back to you?
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, great. All right. So based off Hambone Johnny's recommendation, I went and played Skul the Hero Slayer. Now, this game came out a while back on the Switch, probably a couple years into the Switch life. This is a John and Drew game if I've ever played one. If I had to compare two, like this is a hybrid between Dead Cells and Rogue Legacy, John, a game that John and I swear by, right? Um, Man, what a fun little game. You play as this little skeleton dude. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Diablo storyline, John, where like you're fighting humans and you're like kind of getting your rank up into like heaven, right? And you're trying to play as the bad guy, kind of. Uh, the cool mechanic of this game, right, is it's a side scroller hack and slash, very similar to like Dead Cells or like I said, Road Legacy. But the mechanic of this game is you're this little skull boy and you come across unique skulls throughout the game. And you can replace your head with this skull, and it kind of transforms you into that, right? So, for example, you could turn into like a Wolverine, and you kind of act like a wolf. You could turn into like a mage, and now you have more of that magic element. You could turn into a swordsman. There's endless types of skulls that you can turn into, and there's really two paths from the skull point of view you can go down. It's simple: physical damage or magical damage, and uh, depending on which one you go, right, you kind of have your relics and you have all these other upgrades to kind of fit towards that play style. Which, if you think back to Rogue Legacy 2, where it kind of based on what type of family tree you got, right? In the beginning was you either like, remember there was like the cook or the ninja or the assassin.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's why I say this game reminded me of that, because it is very similar to that, where no two runs, and this is a road like game, no two runs are similar because you're playing a totally different style every time you play, whether you want to go down the magic road or you want to go on the physical attack road. Um, and man, I loved this game. It is so fun. There's three forms of currency. Um, Gold, which you come across shops throughout your run that you can upgrade and buy things. There's there's bones, which bones means if you come across a skull that you don't want, you can sell it and it gives you bones instead. And then you come across this spider witch lady that can upgrade your skull. So there's really three or four forms. There's like your basic, and then there's your medium, and then there's your legendary. So every skull can become like a legendary skull, which upgrades it three times. It changes your appearance and it upgrades all of your skills, and it also upgrades all of your powers. So you can kind of pick that throughout the journey of who you want, which way you want to go. And I love that. And the last one is really these purple shards which give permanent upgrades to your character through the run. So this is what I love. This is what every roguelike game needs to do, where when you die and you go back to the main castle to start your run again, you have these purple currencies where you can buy and upgrade permanent stats. For example, increase attack speed by 10%, increase magic damage, increase physical damage. If you save up your skull, your purple um, currency, you can actually unlock, you resurrect with 30% health one time when you die. So it's almost like you get an extra life in the run. Constant types of upgrades like that, which is absolutely awesome. Like I said, I can't speak highly of this game. I had so much fun. There's so many different play styles. There's this one character that I made it to the final boss with. It was the Rot Star, and he's literally has a guitar and he uses magic, and he has this other like, magic bar. As you fill it up, he brings on his band and then starts like this. Like they play this music and it attacks everybody. It's awesome. And I almost beat the game with that guy. And then my last time I played it recently, this today, I got with this spearman, and he has this spear, and he dashes really quick, and he attacks really fast. And I kept upgrading his dashes, and now his dashes did damage, and I could pretty much just dash nonstop. And like a lot of these games, when you dash, you don't get damage taken, right? Because you're like dashing through the attack. And I made it all the way to the end with this guy just pretty much dashing the whole screen, and I beat the fucking game, John. And I felt so good, so powerful. I will say, about maybe after like 7 days of playing this game, I did change the mode to rookie mode, and I don't even feel bad about it. This is a hard game. And when you switch to rookie mode, what it does is it doesn't give it decreases all of the enemies attack you half damage, right? So essentially every attack, if you were going to get hit by 10 damage, now you'd only get hit by 5 damage. That's all it changes. So essentially all it's doing is making you live a little bit longer. It's giving you more health, which I think is perfect, right? I mean, it's not making the bosses have less health or anything like that. It's not making the game easier. It's just extending your life bar essentially, which I think is a great little extra help. But yeah, Skul, the Hero Slayer, like 9 out of 10. Loved this game. Couldn't someday, John. I fuck Mana Spark. Skul the Hero Slayer. That's the game you need to play if you ever have downtime. I can't see on my Switch. My guess would be I it took me around 15 hours ish, maybe. I will say after I beat it, I didn't really dabble too much. You're gonna like this one, John. I think it essentially is what I believe it does is it creates, compared to Slay the Spire, like an ascension mode where it's called Dark Mirror, and it makes everything a little bit harder. And if you beat it, you enter like Dark Mirror 2, Dark Mirror 3, which is great. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it, to be honest. I had a lot of fun with it, but I think I just want to move on to the next game. I'm kind of in that feeling now. So
yeah, except for Slay the Spire, usually you stop on roguelikes when you do the run.
Kind of, yeah.
You could probably do a whole thesis on roguelikes. How do you get people to keep playing once they have a successful run? Because if you played Slay the Spire and just stopped at one run, I don't know, you feel like you'd miss out on some things, I guess. But if you really think about it, what is the motivation to play at a higher ascension level at all on Slay the Spire? I don't know.
You know what it is with Slay the Spire, I think for me is you beat the game, and then you're like, well, let me try beating the game on another character. And then another character. And then you're like, man, I forgot about that first character. Let me go back and play that one again. And then it kind of drives you. So it might have been a little bit of that control of playing with the character, where this one was a ton of fun because every run felt new and fresh because I played with a new character in a new way. But if I played again, it's just another unique character in a unique way, right? And if I did play again, like when you play these games, you kind of lean towards, oh, I really liked that Skul. My vision is to try to go through that, get that Skul and level them up again.
Yeah,
but it might not work out
Legacy,
that way,
right? Yeah.
It might not work, right? And you might end up, and I've done this times. I made it to World 3, and I'm like, man, I'm really doing physical damage, focus all my relics on physical damage. And they're like, oh shit, I just took the guitar guy. He's awesome, but he does magic damage. So like I have 9 like relics that are all focused on physical. You can kind of sell them out one by one, but it's going to take a long time. So it's funny in how that works. But God, I loved this game. I
That's what
might go
yeah.
back.
Yeah,
So
that's what makes games like Dead Cells fun,
yeah,
Rogue Legacy, because you sort of have to, like, it's a chess term, but play the board, right?
yeah,
You can't go in with a predetermined strategy. It's the same thing with deck building and Slay the Spire.
hmm
You don't know what you're gonna get, and then you kind of have to build. And like I just, I'm doing no return, right? But like the challenges are keeping me going. Even if I
yeah,
finished more runs, I want to do all the challenges and unlock all the outfits. That is the tease. But
yep,
when I think about Slay the Spire, the only reason I was playing the Ascensions is just because Slay the Spire is just really fun to play. And
correct.
so it was like, I want to keep playing, but like, if you think about it, why? Like,
I
why,
know. I agree.
why should you continue at Skull? Why? Remember, Rogue Legacy had that big, massive unlock tree?
Yes.
So you could play a run and lose and then unlock a few things, and they were all perma buffs.
hmm
And a lot of them were very small, but it was always something to do. And then even when you finish the game, you'd be like, yeah, but I want to unlock this whole freaking tree over here.
Correct. And that was
That's
the
the
one
thing.
thing I wish they did. Like the focus of this game is obviously different skulls. I wish there was a menu option or someone that it'll talk to that showed like you've seen 37 out of 50 skulls. Because
Yeah,
then it's like, oh man, I need the guitar guy. I didn't level him all the way up to legendary. Let me go try to get him to legendary. And that little
right.
gray box is now colored. You know, the other thing is you find people throughout your runs and your journey that when you unlock them, they come back to your castle. Like you're building a little town in your castle, right? I mean, a lot of games do this.
Yep.
There is one guy I found that he keeps feeding this purple currency, which is very hard to get. Like, for example, when I beat the game, which means I went through the entire run, I think I got like 7,000 of it, 6,000 of it. This guy needs 20,000. So I'd have to almost beat the game 3 times just to get enough to. And I've been leveling them up slowly. I am curious what happens if I do that. So maybe I will play. And maybe if I play this Dark Mirror mode, which is the Ascension mode, that maybe you get more purple currency. I don't know. I haven't even done a run on it. I do need to go check it out. The wife was begging me to play Pode, so I had to turn it off.
I think you've pronounced that game 4 different times already on the
Listen,
show.
it's whatever it is. It's Pude, it's Pode, it's Pode, it's
uh,
PODE.
so spoil me a little bit. Is
Yes.
he a hero slayer or a hero slayer? Does he slay heroes or is he a hero that slays?
Gonna have to watch the storyline. It's kind of misconfused. It's kind of confusing, right? Because
Is it misconfusing?
he's saving the demon lord or whatever the hell it's called, right?
Uh-huh.
So I would say the guy he's killing is the humans at the end of the game, right? It's the humans which are you think is the bad guy, but the reality is if you could have put this entire game from their perspective, they're the good guys trying to defend their castle from you as the skull.
I
So
see.
I think Skull is actually slaying the hero because the human thinks he's the hero. He's like a knight defending his castle, and that's what you do. You intrude the castle, you go up to the top floor, and you fight the hero.
Okay.
Right. So
It's an
you're killing the
irony.
hero. You're the bad guy.
You're the bad guy.
You're the bad guy.
Great. Now I'm the bad guy.
But
Sweet.
Skull the Hero Slayer, highly recommend it. I got it on sale for pretty cheap. I think less than $10. Well worth it.
I'll throw it on my wish list.
You should.
All right. Let's move on. Oh, we got a Manscaped ad to read.
Ooh,
Am I reading this one?
this is all you, John. All you, buddy.
All right. We got bored of the Manscaped copy, and Tim writes copy, and we got jealous. I think we've done one before. I did a PlayStation one time for PlayStation.
And I've written one or two, I think. Yeah.
Okay. 2024 is chock full of games, but don't forget, you also got to take care of your balls. If your last trim was a remake with a Lawnmower 4, it's time for a rebirth with the new Lawnmower 5 Ultra. Don't try to dig out your lost crown out of a bush the size of a stage in Foam Stars with any other product. That Hellblade you bought in 2008 won't give you the showtime for your Princess Peach. Valentine's Day is coming and about it. Become the unicorn overlord your loved one has always wanted. Trusted by over 10 million men worldwide, now is your time to get a grip on your grooming like a dragon. with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use another code, NINDADS, for 20% off plus free shipping. That's NINDADS for 20% off and free shipping. Don't wait for the post-shave content. Get your plucky squire ready to launch. Let's
Well
move
played.
on to the show.
Well done, John. Well done.
Did you haven't shaved your face with a Manscaped? Because I thought that was the best idea I ever had in my life.
No, I think I have in the past.
Still got the beard going.
I got quite the beard going for me.
It's there. You and I are both very scruffy today. Let's talk about what's been going on. Why don't you give us a Chubbies update? Today is the we're officially at the halfway mark.
Halfway. Yeah, something feels different about this Chubbies bracket, right? We got a lot of people going on. It's going great. We have great motivation. We're feeding off each other. We're encouraging each other. We're doing well. I don't know what it is, right? I've been eating healthy. I've been drinking healthy. I've been exercising 5 days a week, which I wasn't really doing at all, right? I've been doing really good, John, but I'm really struggling to lose the weight. And I looked back, and when I started this, I was at a decent weight, right? 186 or so, which is pretty good for me. I just can't. My milestone is like get into the 70s. I mean, I want to be like low 170s. I can't break that 180 mark. I'm like 181. Give or take a pound or two every day. I'm struggling to hit that like next phase, right? It's frustrating.
Might not be for you.
I don't know. What else do you need to do?
You're eating salads, you're working out.
Yeah.
I mean, it might just not your body type, man. Like
I know.
I don't know, maybe this is it. Because if you want to get even lower, what are you gonna do? No dressing on the salads?
Can't do that.
Yeah,
that's true. Just fucking rabbit.
You can't just choke down a salad without dressing.
I do a lot of dressing sometimes. I feel like I overdo it. I need to cut back.
You've got that Italian blood in you.
Yeah,
you're a natural Tony Soprano. No, but you're in the 180s. I mean, we've definitely we have a few people in the 180s in our group, and Ryan is still like a house of fire. I don't know how he's doing it.
Me either. Because me and him started. We're almost the same. Like we almost started the same as that. I think he lost like 12 pounds in 4 weeks, which is hard at that weight.
Yeah, there's not as much to lose. I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
So I looked at all of us, right? 22 people, I think we have. Right? Let me see if I can around that. So today, let me see. I got it right here. 22 people. I'm not going to throw names out there. I don't want to call people out or anything like that.
Call people out.
22 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people are in the red. I don't like to see that. We take this seriously here on the Dead After Dark. 6 people are in the red. 3 people are even. Whatever that means. And 13 of us are underweight, which is oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the all time.
No, that's not all weeks. Yeah.
I'm sorry. All weeks. 2 people are in the red. 1 person is even. 19 of us. 19 people. We're changing fucking lives. Losing weight. Having better sets in bed because they don't have the big bodies they used to, right? They can now be on top of their wives and feel comfortable that they're not crushing them. That's what counts, John. We are changing lives for their wives in bed, right? That's why we're here. So
how many of us are having sex because they need to burn a few calories because of a weigh-in tomorrow?
Listen, if I don't work out, I've told the wife, we gotta have sex because even if it's like 12 calories I'm burning, 1 calorie a second, whatever it might be. Of these 19 people, we've lost so far 134 pounds. That's not bad.
Beautiful. That's great.
10 pounds a person on average, right?
Yeah, man, we got several people who don't have much to lose. So their percentages are really good. I mean, it's and we're halfway through.
Yeah. Keep it going, guys. We're happy. We're proud. Like I said, maybe we'll give out some little contest or something towards the end, but keep the chubby updates coming and keep losing the weight.
I am proudly in the 10 spot right now. Right, it's right where I want to be because I don't want to be a top loser because I just I have in various times in my life lost a good deal of weight and then I just
Hmm.
kind of gain it back. What I'm trying to do is do chubbies while at the same time not sacrificing too much.
Hmm.
I've had Totino's, I've
Hmm.
had McDonald's.
You got to do it. It happens.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I'm weeding out the snacks. I do find weighing in throughout the day is really helpful to me. I'll tell
I
you
do
what,
like it motivates you, right?
yeah, because I'll have dinner and then like I'm always like my favorite dessert is a drumstick ice cream cone, right? I love it.
Sweet
I don't
stuff.
have to scoop it out and get my hands all dirty and put
And
fudge or whatever.
take the package and
Just
just
go
go
to the
to
box,
town.
boom. And they're good. And but I'll go upstairs and weigh myself and I'll be like, ooh, my weight's pretty low right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do and I'll literally have like a liquid death as like my dessert for the night. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so I just that's always a reminder, like, no, let's
It's
not grab that ice cream cone because I want to try to hit a new
there's
low tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like something to do with the Chubby's bracket. And I remember this last year. Like to your point though, John, like making yourself weigh in and the fact that you're taking a picture and you're putting it on an app, even if it's with 22, 19, whatever, 20 strangers you don't know, you're doing it. And it's something psychological that says, I'm not going to fucking eat that drumstick ice cream cone because I
Right.
have to go take a picture of my scale. And but you know what I'm saying? It really helps me. I'm not,
Yeah,
I honestly, I just simply have brought upstairs 5 Thin Mints to have with my cup of coffee while we record. But I said, no, I'm just going to have my cup of coffee and that's it. So
that's it.
it's going to be sad.
Every day I look at your weigh in and
Yeah.
I'm just ready to just pound on you, man. I'm just like, come on, baby.
Listen,
Yeah, what happened, Drew? No, no, no.
I know I need to break that 180. That's my goal. And that's what I'm going to keep pushing.
Yeah, and
So
you started 186
186.
and you're
Yeah.
at 182.
That's,
Yeah,
and that
how
was a
can you
bad day.
complain?
I'll tell you what, though, Sundays are the worst, right? Because it's out of my habit. I usually weigh in every day at like 4:45 in the morning. That's
Hmm.
my weigh-in time. So, like on Sundays, I wake up at 7. I have my coffee. I don't. If I'm not going out, I'm not going to just wake up and shower. Whatever. I might shower midday or whatever it might be.
Right.
So I'm out of my routine, and as the day goes on, for me at least, like you actually might weigh an extra pound or two if I weigh myself in the afternoon versus in the morning. So Sundays just don't work for me. We gotta change it
Why
up.
don't you just weigh yourself when you wake up?
I guess I could, but it's just not my routine anymore. It's a different routine.
Wait, when you weigh yourself during the week, do you weigh yourself when you wake up?
Yeah, but I wake up, I shower,
I say.
and then when I'm naked after I shower, after I dry off, I weigh myself.
Okay.
So it's just part of that, like every day, just like brushing your teeth. It's just part of the routine. So in the morning, my whole routine is off on the weekends. Sometimes I almost forget to weigh myself.
Yeah. Um,
Anyways,
have you seen any dongs in the weight pictures yet?
I haven't looked, but I'm not gonna lie. I took my picture today because it was like afternoon time, 2 o'clock after I went for a run, and the sun was shining through the Windows bathroom and it was reflecting off my glass scale. And I had to I had to turn the scale and retake the picture because I think my dawn was reflected. Like if you looked at the scale, you'd be like, I think that's a dawn. And it was. And I had to retake it today. You're very lucky or unlucky,
It
depending
is.
on which way you look at it.
It's like Google Maps, right? Like where are the best pictures? Oh, look up this address and look to the left. You know what I mean? Like this is
Yep.
like,
If you
oh yeah,
see like Drew weighed in at 2:30 in the afternoon, good chance there's a dawn in that picture. But at 4:30 in the morning, there's no sunlight coming through the window,
yeah,
so there's no dawn.
yeah. I mean, it could be like if you have the lights on,
Yeah, but it's just different reflections.
different reflection. All right, so we are halfway through Chubbies. The next 4 weeks, it gets hard because I think it's easy to have some early success when you change
Agreed.
your habits, and then now your body's settled into those habits. I mean, you got to keep going, and you're just like it's like a marathon. You're halfway
And
through, but
it's
you've expended a lot of your willpower and energy early. Then you got
correct.
4 weeks to
But
go now.
you know what is the biggest problem for me too is like I'm gonna say like I have an hour. I'm gonna go on the treadmill. I'll do a little weightlifting. I'll do some crunches. I'll do some push-ups and some whatever it is. My biggest like fear. I guess that's fear. I don't know what the right word is. Right? Is like am I using my hour correctly? Right? Like, I'm not a fitness trainer. So it's like, what's the best way to spend my hour to lose weight? And I don't know the answer to that question. Do you know, is it 30 minutes on the treadmill and 30 minutes of doing these other exercises and stretches? Is it an hour on the treadmill? Is it no treadmill? I don't know. And I feel like I'm often just using my time incorrectly. You ever feel that way?
Not at all, no.
Oh, well, fuck.
I mean, I'll walk in the morning with my wife, although we haven't been able to walk very much because it's been freezing cold. And then I have an elliptical.
Mhm.
I just, as long as I'm doing aerobics, I'm happy. I'm not like overanalyzing it or anything like
I'm
that.
overanalyzing it.
Yeah, you're overanalyzing.
I am.
Just work out. Like that's it.
Burn some calories, get a sweat going, feel good about yourself.
I think you can actually bulk up a little bit. Like the elliptical is not like a treadmill. It actually feels like more like of a bulky type thing.
Mhm.
And you actually might not see results right away because you're actually toning. And as you're toning, it's offsetting your dropping of fat. But then you're never gonna like, it's not like if you keep doing a
No,
treadmill, you're
but
gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so once you get over that hump, then it's
true.
like the aerobic takes over and you're not building up
Well,
that
yeah.
tone. That's the only thing I know.
The thing to keep in mind too, right? The toning and the muscle mass means you're going to burn calories faster,
Yeah.
right? That's the whole point of muscle. So you're right.
Right. Okay.
All right, Chubbies.
Jubbies. Monthly mayhem?
Monthly mayhem.
Soon?
Listen, we didn't forget about you guys. We still have been talking about the reboot. There's not a lot of games out. We know we're all playing backlogs. We don't want you guys to don't have to spend money on a new game. With that being said, there's some new Nintendo games coming out. All we're gonna say is soon. Be ready.
When he
That's it.
says that, we actually don't have any plan right now.
Nothing. But
We're gonna tease anyway. This is Metroid Prime 4 right here.
Yep.
Yeah, we got it. We have to do one. We've had a nice break. It is really hard to come up with games and challenges because there's so many games and so many different interests. Man, this was so much easier back in the old days.
You had a game every month. It was easy.
It was so much easier. Yeah. Like a game came out and everyone was kind of playing it. Now there's like everyone's playing different things. And we don't want to like pick a $60 game that blocks people out. We don't want to pick a dollar game when people are busy playing Zelda. It gets tricky.
Agreed.
They'll figure it out. It's too bad the NSO has that rewind feature because it is so easy to cheat in an NSO game. You would think we could just use NSO and do high score contests and whatever. That is the hardest thing to do because it's so easy to just rewind every time you die and do something unrealistic. So
I know.
When we've done NSO, we've said rewinding is legal because we don't want half the people to not do it and follow the rules and then half the people to do it. It's hard. It ain't easy. All right. We've got some news. Splatoon 3 side order arrives earlier than expected, earlier than what we were told before. They said spring originally.
Well, the website still says spring if you don't want it. So
yeah,
that's
February
Nintendo being Nintendo.
22nd. Yeah, that is not spring. So that's coming February 22nd. I wonder if they're releasing it early because they're maybe seeing some dwindling numbers and they want to like rejuvenate energy. That's going to be my guess. Their analytics have come in.
There's nothing else out there to play.
The original release for Splatoon 3 was September 9th, 2022. So this is the first big, basically campaign update. This is, what was the one in Splatoon 2? I forgot the name of it.
I didn't have that game.
Oh yeah, you didn't do that one?
I did one, and I skipped 2.
Splatoon 2's DLC was called Octo Expansion. So freaking good. It was such a great update. This one we'll see. We still don't know very much about it, and it comes out in 18 days. They've hinted it's a roguelike of sorts.
Few around it.
Yeah. So is this going to get you back into Splatoon 3? You played some Splatoon 3. Is this going to get you back in it or no?
There's something about Splatoon in general that like I kind of love the idea of it. Right. And I think it's a great game. And then I play it and I don't know. I realized that even though I'm decent, I suck compared to the world. I think a lot of us feel that way.
We all do.
But if this truly is a single player style campaign mode, maybe it will draw me in because there's not going to be a lot. And we'll talk about a little bit more about Mario and Donkey Kong in a minute. But I think that's going to be a wife game in myself that's going to play the 2-player. So if that's true, and I play that 2-player, I'm going to need a single player game, and this may fit right in. But I don't know. Like you said, the trailers and everything we've seen so far tells us very little. If this
Very little.
is if this is truly a single player campaign mode, maybe. But as of right now, John, simple answer: no, I'm not in.
The one thing I've learned about Splatoon 3 is it's easy to jump back in
It
at
is.
any given time. Like you don't really feel like you missed anything on catalogs. The one time I jumped back in, it was for the first day of a new catalog, and I was playing every day to get the bonus points to get catalog items, and I fell off of it for a bit. I think I went on vacation, and then the season ended, and I didn't finish the catalog. But I don't have that same feeling of, oh, I don't have every single item and whatever, because there were so many items I got that either I didn't care to put in my locker, or I didn't care to wear because it didn't have something an upgrade I wanted. You don't need everything. So at any given time, there's a good time to jump in. And getting this is going to be, I think the only thing we really know about is it is going to be single player. You can jump onto this with single player. And then when's the new season? I want to see if that actually times
Coincides with it, maybe.
yeah. But like you could just jump in. I think a great time to jump on it is when there's a new season, because you can start hitting all the catalog items all the way up to 100. And if you play once a day for the entire season and maybe just a bit more, you'll unlock everything. So, and all you need is the last coolest thing in the catalog, and that's all you need. You don't need stuff from like season 1. You just don't. So I don't know when the new season. It looks like the new season began. Hold on here. I don't know, but this will probably coincide, I think, with the new season update. I think. So yeah, I might jump in on that, but I want to see more. I gotta find out a little bit more.
We shall see. Yeah, once we see it, I see some reviews, maybe.
Mario versus Donkey Kong demo came out, and Drew, you played this, right?
I did. Did you?
No, I'm gonna get the game, so I didn't play the demo.
That's fair. The wife and I played it together, so the co-op play. I like to quote the Mr. Bob Cousy himself. A lot of like, what's the Toad? The Toad game. Fuck.
Oh, Captain Toad.
Captain Toad. As Cousy said, very Captain Toad vibes when you play with the 2-player thing, and I 100% agree with that comment. This game was well polished. Loved the graphics on it. Now, this is a game I definitely never really got into this series. I think I played a little bit of it, but never really played it to its any fullest. So yeah, I loved it. I'm excited for it. Very short demo, 4 or 5 levels, and
they don't want you to get bored, right? If they made the demo like 15 levels, people by the end be like, all right, I've had enough of this. They want to just do it so that you're just getting a taste of it. And they're like, cool, we're going to throw 150 levels at you. And we don't want you to get that feeling of I've seen enough.
that's a fair point. I agree with that.
Because that's always the problem with these games, is my worry with the game is like, oh yeah, I love this. It's exciting. You begin, you're like, everything makes sense. And then at some point in these puzzle games, you get a level and you see 14 keys and 13 doors and
You're
this, and you're just like, it's random. Like,
because you got to build up to it's a great point, right? And
yeah.
then you're like, oh, this game's not for me. I thought it's too complicated.
Right. You can't formulate a strategy. You're just going to do things and then see if something falls into place or whatever. It can get a little whatever. So I think that's the strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want to talk about the Legend of Zelda? We saw a picture of, what is it, Miyamoto and Aonuma.
Yes.
In Orlando?
Orlando, right? So since then, they've come out and they've done the official announcement of Epic Universe, which is going to be the 3rd major amusement park in Orlando, Universal Studios. I guess if you count their water park 4, but who counts that?
What?
So in Epic Universe, just to be clear, in Orlando, they have Super Nintendo World, alongside the Donkey Kong expansion, which has the minecart roller coaster and the normal Mario Kart ride and the Yoshi ride. So those are
Wait,
going to
wait.
be
Okay.
yeah, that made sense.
The Donkey Kong's not there yet, though, right?
Well, it's Epic Universe is this brand new park that doesn't exist today. They've been
Okay.
building it for the last 5 years. It's
Okay.
going to be brand new and it opens in 2025. So they're going to have almost a carbon copy of what's in Disney, well, in California and Japan, right, from the Super Nintendo World area that
Right.
has
The bigger ones.
yeah, exactly, that has the Mario Kart ride and the Yoshi ride and all that on the interactive stuff. And then they're also adding a Donkey Kong expansion part of that world that has the mine cart, and we don't really know what else. So aside from that, flip over to Universal Studios Orlando Islands of Adventure, which is a park that's been around for a while. There's this area called the Lost Continent, which used to be very mythological themed, right? It had like a Poseidon's walk through ride. It had Mythos, which was like a mythology restaurant. There's rumors that that land is going to be converted into a Zelda land, and that Mythos restaurant was going to be converted into a Deku Tree restaurant, and the old Poseidon ride was going to be converted into some type of Wind Waker boat ride walk through Zelda exhibit thing. Not a lot of details, rumors. So that's why Nintendo's employees were there, supposedly, is to look at that land and the conversion of that land and that park to a
Hmm.
Zelda land. There's also rumors in the third park, Universal Studios, which is the original Universal in Orlando. There's currently a Simpsons land, right?
Yeah.
Universal Studios, as we know, Disney owns Simpsons. Universal lose the rights to Simpsons, I want to say in 2028, which means they can no longer support it. There's rumors they're going to convert Simpsons Land into Pokemon Land. And there's going to be a
Oh.
Pokemon Dark ride where the current Simpsons ride is, because it's a very large building. They're also doing this in Japan, and the rumor is they're going to have the same ride mechanic that's in Japan, copy and paste it into this land. So
Hmm.
a lot's happened at Universal Studios Orlando. If you're a fan of it, if you live in the States and you want to go down to Florida, I'd say wait a couple more years and you'll be able to do Donkey Kong, maybe Zelda, and hell, maybe even Pokemon. Exciting time to be a Nintendo fan, John, for amusement parks.
I've been to the Simpsons land and the Universal in California.
Yes.
And I grew up during that time. The Simpsons were
Yeah.
huge when I was a kid, but like kids these days, nobody really cares. The only people that like watch The
No.
Simpsons are like my generation.
Adults. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's colorful.
It is.
The rides there were all like the digital where you wear the glasses,
Mhm.
you're not really moving and stuff. That it's a perfect place to just sort of retire. It
Agreed.
doesn't have there's no reason to keep that around. Do
Yep.
something
Makes
new.
perfect sense. I agree.
Sweet. All right. Bring it.
Yep.
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's
What are
Day.
you doing for Valentine's Day?
Nothing. And that's my point. Have we made it to a certain age in our point, or is it really a person thing? Like, what's your thoughts? Are you yay or nay on it?
Well, I fucking hate Valentine's Day. I've always hated it because I
Yeah.
feel like it's just like your anniversary. It's supposed to be the two of you together, but it really becomes like the guy, right? Like I
Of
have to
course.
come up with the best idea, and I suck at coming up with creative
Mm.
ideas under pressure. And it's like, what can I do that's super romantic? But the thing is, my wife and I, we're not into fancy restaurants.
Either
We're
same.
we don't get caught up in any of that.
No, it's all about the kids, right?
Yeah. Plus, you have kids, and then it's like, oh, are they going to do something with us? And it's like, well, then it's not really Valentine's Day.
No.
So what we're going to do is, my wife was actually going to be, she was going to be a sub that day, a substitute teacher on that day, but that got canceled. So it's like, okay. So what we're going to do is what we often do. We're going to go to downtown Golden. We're going to walk around. We're going to, get some exercise and walk and chat and whatever. And then we're going to go to our favorite little lunch spot, D Deli, and we're going to get some food. And then we'll probably
Nice.
bring it home because it'll be too cold. And we'll just hang out.
Just the two
Last
of you.
Valentine's Day, we played Blanc. That was what we did in 2023. So I told her, I said, last time we played Blanc, I don't know if there's nothing really coming out. Tomb Raider comes out on Valentine's Day, but I don't know. So maybe we'll see if we do a movie or whatever. I usually need something I'm really interested in to go to the movies, but
Nowadays.
yeah. Like, and it's cold, so it's like, you can do mini golf. But my wife's not really into mini golf, let alone when it's cold.
Hmm.
It's tricky. I don't know. And then the
I'll be
kids come
doing.
home, and then we do something.
I
Right?
don't even
What?
know what day of the week it's on. I am lost. It's on a Wednesday.
It should be a Wednesday.
I have piano lesson for one kid and basketball practice for the other. Maybe she's not a flower person. Maybe I'll send her like an edible arrangement of like fruit or an apple or something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
And
it.
edible arrangements are so freaking expensive. Like,
I
it
know,
just
and my
makes you
wife will,
nauseous.
and she'll be mad probably like, you spent $50 on a chocolate apple. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't really think about that.
I know. My wife likes certain kind of chocolates, and it's like, but if you go get like chocolates, like a heart box of
Yeah,
chocolates, it's not the kind she likes or whatever. So
no,
it's like, well, I should get the red heart, or just get her some fudge from like Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
exactly.
Like, I don't know.
But then is it any different than every other day?
It,
It's a fucking scam. We talked about February being the worst month ever. I feel like they invented Valentine's Day to make it not the worst month ever.
yeah, but they made it worse.
They made it worse. So it's now
Made
for
it
us, for guys, it's like shit. Now you stress out about it.
Exactly.
And think about it, right? I mean, you have Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day,
Oh,
plus my wife's birthday's in between in April. So it's like bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, fuck, I can't even think of one thing to get her. Never mind four.
exactly. Oh, it's the worst. The absolute worst.
I agreed. Fuck it.
Every day is Mother's Day. And for Father's Day, it's like, what are you going to cook?
Yeah. What do you want to cook yourself? I guess I'll grill.
Speaking of things you hate.
Yes. So
you're very negative. You're giving us bad reviews.
I am.
That guy was right.
Sorry. It's called pop culture conversation, John. It's with today's times. And speaking of today's times, the company that's been around forever is back in the spotlight, Stanley's. I'm sure
I never even heard of them.
Stop. Denver isn't going through the Stanley crave?
Yeah, no, I think so in the news or whatever, but
let me refresh in case.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's happening in case you didn't know. Right, we all know Yeti's the brand, right? The water cup holder, the ice holder. Stanley's is the same thing as a Yeti. It's been around for even longer than Yeti, and it's just a big metal mug that's supposed to keep your ice cold. Here's what happened if you don't know, John. About 2 months ago on TikTok, I believe it was, this woman got in a bad car accident or something, and her car caught on fire. Right, like obliterated to ash. Everything inside the car was ash and black and whatever. I think she went to like the pound or whatever to see if anything in her car she could get out of it. And sure enough, in the cup holder was her Stanley. She video recorded this. I think it was a scam. Her Stanley was in the cup holder, unburnt, undamaged, and she picks it up. She picks it up out of the cup holder in a complete burnt car, and she shakes it, and she goes, "Still has ice in it." And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And this video goes viral of like, everybody now says Stanley's cheap ice, the coldest, the longest, and this, and everybody and their brother wants one of them. My kids have been actually my son could care less. My daughter wants one, and I fucking caved. And I bought the Stanley, and I'm not happy about it. and now she has one, and here we are.
Should have saved it for Valentine's Day. You ruined a perfectly good idea.
I'm just venting, and I'm tired of it, John. Fired up there tonight.
I didn't know about it until I saw the SNL sketch on a very ridiculous sketch that I sent you earlier about it. But
so your kids haven't been bugging you, I guess, is the question.
No, not at all. No.
My daughter was. She was bugging me. And
people who have a Yeti like to talk about it. That's pretty much the case. I did consulting work for a company. I will not name them. And at some point, they sent me this Yeti thermos. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And they put their logo on it. Yada, yada. And I still use it. When we go on road trips, I fill it up with ice and water. And I mean, there's ice cubes by the end of the day, like as advertised, the super insulative or whatever. But the company pissed me off while I worked for them because they didn't have anything to give me, and then they put me on some awful work with some client that was just terrible, and then they just never like supported me or whatever. And then a couple times afterwards, they said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" And I was like, "Sure." And then it fell through. And then by the third time, I said, "Please stop contacting me." But I still have their Yeti thermos,
Nice.
and it works great. But I've never had a Stanley. No
I
idea.
haven't either. I mean, I don't know.
Stanley.
It's all the same.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey.
This one wasn't bad. I got it for $30. So
Okay. Well, if your car ever gets set on fire, take a video. You could get a lot of likes from it.
Exactly.
Big news hitting at various points today. It's been a weird day. Of course, really nothing official, but like deep speculation, rumors, leaks, whatever. And we had this last month. It came up last month, but Starfield is likely coming to PlayStation. And that was only the start of the day. Even just before we were recording, it started to break that the new Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game is possibly coming to PlayStation maybe a few months after it releases on Xbox. We're seeing some comments here. I have a bunch of comments like littered on, but like that we will be shocked by the games that end up coming to PlayStation and Switch as well. I think it's easier to port to PlayStation. Just graphically, you don't have to worry about performance and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like Nintendo Switch as well. And is this really pointing to Xbox? Are they going to exit the hardware game? Are we going to see what happened with Sega when Sega had the Dreamcast and then they basically went console-less for the first time in forever? This is kind of like crazy. We've already heard rumors of Hi-Fi Rush is going to be coming to other consoles. As Dusk Falls is already scheduled to come to other consoles. The list just never seems to end. And I feel like even if this never happened, it's already damaging for Xbox, because now why get an Xbox when you can have a PlayStation and all their games and you'll still get the Xbox games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So business, Drew, what is the impact, do you think, for Xbox if they go this route? If they become a multi-platform developer and their games are appearing on other game systems, if not day one, within like, let's say, a few months.
Yeah, I mean, in my point of view, there's two reasons why you pick a console, right? Obviously my obvious choice is I have Nintendo, right? But there's two reasons a person commits to typically one console. The number one reason would probably be game choices, right? What franchises do you love to play, right? Zelda, Mario's, you're going to go Nintendo, right? Etc. The second choice would be if there's some type of perk for that system. Switch, handheld, right? Xbox originally, the kind of the inventor of the Game Pass, right? They kind of went from a video game point of view, that was kind of their invention, right? So if that's your thing, if it's handheld or PlayStation, maybe it was graphics, whatever it is, there's always a niche, right? So those are really the two options. If Xbox is slowly going to start separating and giving off their niche, which in this case is Game Pass, right? We now know that Game Pass can be played recently now almost on any handheld device, right? Or an iPad or smart TVs. So look at Luna, for example, right? I hate to say it, I really wanted to play Avatar. I found the cheapest option to play Avatar at the time was Luna. So it's the same concept as, why would I want to buy an Xbox console if I could play Game Pass on my TV without spending $400, $500 for a console, right? So in that case, yeah, I think it's going to be damaging, right? It's the same concept that you kind of talked about is, well, eventually it will come to PlayStation, or eventually it's come to Game Pass. It's that same concept of movies. You mentioned it earlier in the podcast. We don't really go to the movies anymore because why? We know within the next 3 months, I'm going to be able to watch that same movie, air quotes, for free on my living room couch. And it's the same concept here. Same reason why people don't buy Ubisoft games, because in 3 months ago, it's going to be 50% off, right? So
Yeah.
people start to create this reputation for themselves. And if Xbox is going to start doing this with Starfield or Hi-Fi Rush or any other games that they've already done, you're absolutely right. Who's going to go out and buy an Xbox console? You
Yep.
set that reputation for yourself, declines your sales, right? And then you're gonna realize, well, shit, maybe we can still make a lot of money on software if and not spend money on R&D of a new console or the manufacture of a new console. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but for a while, a lot of people used to say you almost break even for hardware. It's the software that you make all your
You're
money in,
selling the
right?
software. Yep.
So in this case, what's Xbox's rationale to keep building consoles if they're just breaking even and giving all their software to other systems? Right? I
Yeah.
mean, sure, the profit wise is a little bit less, right? If Xbox Studios develops a game that goes on their own console, the profit margin, let's just call it 100% to make it simple. Their profit margin on a PlayStation console is no longer 100% because you gotta feed PlayStation, you gotta feed Luna, you gotta feed Switch. So maybe it's, I have no idea, 70%, right? You gotta weigh those things out, but I think, again, I'm gonna use the Ubisoft example. You damage your reputation, and it's gonna start to dwindle. It's gonna hurt your sales. So that's my business take on it. I'm not super involved in Xbox PlayStation world, as you know, but from a high level video game point of view, from the outside looking in, I I think that they're starting to slowly hurt themselves. Even just bring in Game Pass news, right? What they say a long time ago? We want Game Pass on every single device,
They
right?
want it on every single device. They were never
But
going
in
to
my
get it.
but in my eyes, if they do that, then do you need hardware?
Yeah. I think that's the key. I think this news basically, buries the lead that none of this makes any sense if you have an Xbox console, unless you're just going to put out a console that you're going to make some profit on, which makes it easier for people to, like the Steam Deck, right?
Sure.
It is a hardware, and like even if it wasn't like something they needed to do, if they can sell a $400 console that costs them $300 to make, and it just ties someone to a platform, then fine, whatever. Even if you make $10, $20,
Hmm.
I don't know, whatever. I think this is Xbox's strategies have turned into, we've heard this for a while now. It's not about the console sales, it's not about sales, it's about subscribers. And I think the trouble that Xbox has hit, and I've been harping on this for a couple of years now, is they used to let us know how many subscribers they had. And the last big number we had was like 25 million. And I remember hearing, people say they want to get that number to 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, numbers that were kind of like crazy.
Hmm.
And I think they're still around 25 million. I
Yeah.
don't think the number has risen because they would tell us what that number is. Now, they could tomorrow release a new number and I'm proven wrong. I'm just saying is we're not hearing new numbers. And they are putting more and more money into the games that they are just dropping onto that service for free. And we've seen Netflix have trouble, and we've seen Disney Plus. Like these services have trouble because they are investing more and more money. But I think as time goes, people use the services differently. I stopped using Netflix for 6 months. I never in a million years would have
Hmm.
thought I would ever have done that. And now I'm back on it for maybe a few months, and then I'll drop it again. We're rotating. And Game Pass, right? Hambone and I have both done the same thing. I haven't done it in a while, but you get Game Pass for a month, play a bunch of games that have piled up that you're interested
Yeah.
in, and then you just drop it off, right? Like, and then you wait a little bit of time, and that's it. You're not constantly subscribed to it. I was looking at some numbers. Xbox infamously doesn't really release sales numbers, but industry experts can pretty much guess accurately because they get numbers from different stores and whatever. And I was looking at the console sales between Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. This is through VG charts, and this is interesting. If you look at the graph, right, sales this year have been the PS5 has been consistently throughout the year, but throughout 2023, outselling the other two. It's PS5, Xbox. There's a couple places where Xbox is outselling the PS5 for the most part, right? You're looking at it, the whole year is mostly PS5 outselling Xbox. And then down below is the Nintendo Switch. which, oh no, I'm sorry. Hold on.
This
I read that
chart
wrong.
doesn't. Yeah.
Nintendo
Okay.
Switch is in the middle. They put Nintendo Switch in green, so my brain just the
I,
Switch is green and the red is Xbox. I don't know why they did that,
okay.
but my brain is broken on it. Okay. So the Switch is at times outselling the PlayStation 5 and then most of the time being outsold by the PS5. It's an old system, right? And then down below, never, ever, ever at any point in time in the year outselling either of those two is the Xbox. Now, here's the interesting thing. The biggest release for Xbox this year was Starfield. Okay. That was their biggest monumental release of the year. They had Redfall came out, but those are games are just whatever niche games. Starfield was their big release. Looking at that chart, you really couldn't tell me when Starfield was released.
I can tell you
It
when Tears of the
is,
Kingdom got released, though.
yeah, you can see Tears of the Kingdom is when it skyrocketed over PS5. Starfield released in early September. And if you look, there is a very small little bump. And that's it. There's similar bumps throughout the
Mhm.
graph. It's probably related to Starfield a little bit, but it did not give them a huge bump. If you're a business person at Xbox and you're saying, all we care about are the subscriptions, we are putting these games on the subscription to keep people subscribed, but we're not really getting sales on these games, and we're not making money on the consoles. And we just went on to iPhone and whatever devices we can, TVs, whatever. Why don't we sell these games elsewhere? Why don't we take these games, port them, and get a few million sales at least on a PlayStation?
Makes
And
sense.
the only thing that makes sense in that scenario is you just get rid of the Xbox, because why do you need it? You don't need it anymore. You can make
No.
some controllers or whatever, but you don't need the
But
console
but
itself.
wouldn't it be smart, the rumors forever, like at that point before you just fold, like why not try to make that partnership with someone? Why not try to play nice and say, Nintendo, like we want to be exclusive partners with you in our
Mm.
softwares or PlayStation. Either I don't really care who. My point is, why not make like a smart business decision there to utilize someone else's hardware? Do you know what I mean?
The problem, well, there's a problem and a potential solution. The problem is, why would Nintendo want Game Pass on the Switch and then people stop buying games because they just pay a subscription to Xbox and play them for free? The only way you can really do that is, and this is the only way I see it happening, is if there is no Game Pass on the Switch, but there is like a Nintendo Game Pass where it's not the same service, and everyone who signs up to the service is a specific service sign up for Nintendo people.
Hmm.
And then Nintendo takes like 50% of that.
Sure.
There's no, because you can't say, oh, Game Pass is accessible on the console, so we're not going to pay you, Nintendo, because how would you pay Nintendo? These are people that just have Game Pass. Why
Well,
would I pay Nintendo? It
I
has to be
think
a specific Nintendo service.
yeah, sure. I mean, they'd have to. I'm not going to get into the weeds of the finance and how the contract would be, but yeah, there'd be obviously Nintendo would make out on every user or logged in user or something.
Yeah. And at what point is that like, that cuts into Xbox needs money to fund the service. And
But
Nintendo's like, hey, we want people
let's
to buy
think about it for a minute.
games.
Like, but from Game Pass point of view, I mean, rhetorical question, obviously, but like, what percentage of games on Game Pass are Xbox? I mean, or I'm sorry, Microsoft developed? Is it like 5%?
They
Is
own a
it?
lot of studios now, but some of those games are on there. It's
I mean,
probably 5 to 10%, if I had to guess.
so in reality, is if you're not going to have to go pay Nintendo and then pay these other like at which point is it too
Right.
deep into it that you're not really making money because you're distributing all your funds to other people, right? Because they're still not making every dollar because they have to. We still don't really know in detail. Nobody knows how Game Pass gets paid to their games. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's like different for everybody,
They make
but
different contracts for each person.
you
So
you
now
can
but
argue it's more expensive for them to put their own first party games on the service because
sure,
that they
but
have to pay the money to develop
imagine now
those.
bringing in Nintendo or PlayStation. That just complicates it 10 times more.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo wants people to buy Nintendo games, and they want to get their 30% off every other game. Having a game service is going to siphon away sales from you, so you're going to have to pay
Yeah.
a
And I
really
mean, look at
hunky.
that's why Nintendo is never putting has never put like a new game on there. Period.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't see them ever doing it.
And the other argument people talk about with Game Pass is it would have to be the cloud. So these would have to be just cloud games. Maybe they don't want to look bad. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've played decent cloud games on Nintendo with no issues.
No. I mean, Nintendo doesn't want to look bad because you're playing a graphically intensive game, and then you go to play a Nintendo game, and you're like, "What is this?
True.
Like, how come it doesn't look like this?"
I mean, I think it's interesting conversation. I don't know. Does it mean the death of Xbox? Like you said, will we never see another Microsoft hardware come out again?
I think the console needs to die. I think they do need to focus on they already say they are, but if you just follow it to the logical conclusion, how can you build games where you're spending over $200 million to build the games for 7 years, and then you just put it on a service and you see a bunch of people sign up for the service for a month and then get rid of the service?
Agreed.
Like, how many times can you do that? And Starfield was their biggest release.
I know.
And it didn't even get nominated for Game of the Year. So what does
You're
like?
It's not like they're putting out bangers either. So
yeah,
I agree with that.
And then the games that are coming out this year. I mean, Indiana Jones is going to be their biggest release this year.
And that's Microsoft Studios putting that out.
It's it's one of the developers. So they're going to put that this year, but they're going to put that on their service
for how many months?
Some people will play it. Who's going to buy it? I don't know. That you would think the market that's going to buy it probably has Game Pass, but it's just like all the other games. They're not going to get a lot of sales because people who are intensely playing Xbox have Game Pass, or people are going to go on there to play the game and then unsubscribe. So if you can sell, like, let's say 2 million copies on a PlayStation, of course that makes sense, and that's what people are saying. That makes sense. But if that makes sense, why even have an Xbox at this point? I don't know.
I'm not sure I fully understand the concept of the services. I mean, Avatar is a great example for someone like me, right? Where I would have happily paid $70 to play that game. But instead, I'd have to play that entire 70-hour game for $34. Literally 50. I bought it on sale for 50% off because of a subscription of Ubisoft.
You paid 2 months of the subscription.
So but I don't get it. I don't understand it.
They want you to stay subscribed to Ubisoft, which I think is a much harder.
I already canceled it. It's done.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying is much harder to convince somebody because they put out Avatar in December. They put out Prince of Persia in January.
If I played Prince of Persia, I could have played them both in that 2-month time frame. I could have double dipped for a really good deal.
But how many games can Ubisoft possibly put out? It's going to have its lulls where it relies on its backlog for like months at a time.
But if they easily let you cancel month to month.
I don't
know.
Yep.
Anyways, be interesting to see I think all of 2024 how it unfolds.
Yeah, I think there is this scenario where why would you choose an Xbox? PS5 has all the exclusive games, and then you'll get the Xbox games. But then if PS5 doesn't have competition, what effect is that going to have? It's not all hunky-dory where we get the dream world where we have one console and it has all the games. When there's no competition, how does that affect you? And is Nintendo competition? I mean, that's always the question, but I don't know.
Yeah, good point. Well, maybe they don't see it as it.
Drew, this week, a lot of us are anticipating a Nintendo Direct announcement and release. More and more shows I'm listening to, people who are in games journalism have done some analysis. I saw one guy on, I think it was Game Informer, say that Nintendo doesn't do Nintendo Directs in the weeks that they launch their own games because they don't want to distract from it. Yep. And this week is like, because you got Mario and Donkey Kong. I forget the week after what the issue is there, but yeah, they said this is the only week in February where a Direct makes any sense. I think we were going to get a Direct announcement, usually either Monday or Tuesday. That seems to be where they go now. And then they usually do them on Wednesdays. So do you have any predictions for what will be in a Nintendo Direct? Specifically, what will be in a Nintendo Direct this week?
If we get one, I don't think we're getting anything new. I don't think we'll see. Let me rephrase that. We will not get any first party Nintendo games, remakes, reboots, remasters, and new games that we don't already know about. Right?
What do we know about? We know Luigi's Mansion, Princess Peach,
Paper Mario.
Paper Mario, and Mario Donkey Kong.
I don't think. I mean, I guess I could maybe see like a port of a Zelda game, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe because it'd be about a year since Breath of the Wild came out. Right? I mean, sorry, Tears of the Kingdom. If something came out between now and May, but I don't think it's made to be. If we're truly going to get a new Switch, let's say in the fall, I guess that's the scary part, though. Then what the fuck's coming out?
Yeah, and what can you put in a Nintendo Direct besides a little bit more footage of some of those
so
games?
We don't have a date on Luigi's Mansion or Paper Mario, right?
Correct.
So you have a Direct, you throw those dates in there, you showcase Princess Peach again, you showcase Mario vs. Donkey Kong again, and I guess that'd be 4 games technically we already know about, but you'll showcase them. Maybe a Zelda remake. I'm sorry, remake or remaster, Wind Waker or something. And then I think it's going to be very heavy on third party. Like maybe you get a Hollow Knight date that's games that we kind of know about, but kind of either disappeared or we don't know to end the Switch off. I think it'll be very third party focused. That's my person. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we do not get a Direct.
I could see not getting a Direct. I sat down earlier today and thought, what can we see? What can they show? Because if they're going to wait to announce a new console until later, until the spring, what do they show besides maybe you got to think Luigi's Mansion or Paper Mario getting a release date, sometime after, let's say, Princess Peach. I can't see them. What do we got? Mario Donkey Kong coming up next week. And Princess Peach is March, right?
Yep. Yeah. So nothing in April or May or June.
Exactly. So if you're going to release one of these games April or May, you're going to show more footage and then you're going to give a release date. And I was trying to think of
those 2 games could fill that gap. They could go April, May, or April, June, or May, June, and that holds you over. But you still need all. I'm
for
with
what,
you.
Oh, it holds you over for what? Like, I don't know.
I'm just saying, if a new Switch truly is coming,
right?
I just don't. I mean, do you see a new game that's unreleased or I don't see that coming. Do you?
I don't. And so when I sat down today, I was like, okay, what can they announce? Some third-party port? And I did a search for game 2023 games, 2022 games, and I'm like, that one won't work on a Switch. That won't work on a Switch. That one's going to look rough on a Switch. And so I realized today, I think we're going to get the Switch 2 announcement this week.
It's very possible because I think they almost need to distract you from the lack of games they have coming, right? And how do you do that?
Well, no, I mean, you introduce games by saying we have a new console and here's what's coming, because you can't. How long can you do this? We don't really have anything.
But let me hear me out here. Could you do a Direct and show the 4 games we just talked about, and then maybe the one more thing is legit like a teaser, and maybe you show it off a little bit, but like a very 1-minute high-level teaser of the new hardware, and then it will say something like, join us this summer for a full announcement.
No, in no way would they do that.
Really?
Because you're going to make people wait 3 or 4 months or 5 months
or this
say, oh, they're going to announce a new console. And so people are going to stop buying the Switch.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. I think it is announced. I just don't know if we don't see the soft, like typically when you see an announcement, you're going to say, hey, look, Mario Odyssey. I don't think we're going to see like software. I think it's a teaser trailer with here's what the hardware looks like, maybe the specs, but we're not showing it off quite yet because we don't want to show you the software yet. Do you know what I'm saying?
If you're going to announce hardware, you have to turn that hardware around quick because the sales of your current hardware are going to nosedive. I'm not buying another Switch.
Understood, right? But I don't think that they have the software to show off yet. And if they, to your point, I don't think they're going to show it. If they show it now, it's coming out this summer. It's not coming out in the fall.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. So this is what I am predicting to be for the Nintendo Switch, because there is no scenario where not announcing the new Switch this week makes any sense whatsoever. It just
I agree.
there's nothing coming out. So I think they are going to announce the new Switch. That is going to be right off the bat with the direct. Here's the
Hmm.
new Switch, and then a flurry of announcements and teases and whatever of what's coming out.
New games.
Like I said, if you're going to get these 2023 games, 22 games to get ported to the Switch, none of them can get ported. And when they do, they kind of look a little bit lousy, right? And think about the
So
games that just came out: Alan Wake 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake. All of these games, I don't see them coming to the console. So they
would
have
you?
Mario versus Donkey Kong and Showtime
Yeah.
coming out. That's fantastic, but we can't do it. But if they announce the Switch 2 right now, they can show off new ports and new games that are coming out, including Metroid Prime 4. Um, uh, Here's the ports that we can get: Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4, the remakes. Stray. Remember,
Yeah.
Stray went to
But I
Xbox.
think there's too many games we already know about that are coming to the Switch for this to happen. Why would they? I get that transition period is very difficult, right? But like, even though we didn't Luigi's Mansion and Paper Mario and Peach's Showtimes, whether they're remakes or whatever, like you just kind of push those off and you do a little Twitter announcement and in the next 30 days and the dates.
No,
Like
no, that's what I'm saying. Is this is the juice that you need, because this stuff doesn't. Mario and Donkey Kong is just a remake of a puzzle game. Luigi's Mansion is a game that we've already seen.
yeah,
Showtime is not going to be like the big banger, right? I mean, it could be a great game, but it's not gonna create the buzz that you're looking for. But if you put out the Switch 2, you not only can say, look at all these games that, I mean, we've heard rumors of a Switch 2 with hardware in developers'
yeah.
hands for over a year. So what are they porting, right? You imagine when the
Well,
Switch 2 gets announced that there is going
true.
to be a flurry of third-party games coming. And I'm looking at the Star Wars Jedi series, Diablo 4, all of these Xbox games that we keep hearing
Well,
about.
it's a great point, right? And I mean, Hollow Knight's the obvious one that people keep talking about, but like, what else even is there from an indie point of view, third party that we're waiting for on the Switch right now?
Well, let me tell you, Persona 3 Reload would be a great one that we could have been getting. And it's very interesting that they have ported Persona 5 and Persona 4 over, and Persona 3, the original, but not Persona 3 Reload. And everyone sort of anticipates they have a device, they have the new Switch, and they just decided,
To
let's
wait.
just do our porting over
But
there.
and that's the fear, right? Is what there's two ways it could go. It could come. We could have a 25-minute direct that just shows more, like I said, more Peach, more Luigi's Mansions, more Paper Mario,
My God,
maybe a
no.
Zelda remake, and whatever. And if that happens, let's be honest, we're fucked. We're fucked for the Switch too. Like,
No, well, yeah, you're right, though. We're fucked, but
meaning it
not.
could not even be 2024 if they start showing this shit off.
Right, like, it's gonna be like that Wii balloon that pop. I
So I'm
played
not.
Prince of Persia. When did Prince of Persia come out? I can't remember, when Prince of Persia came out. Prince of Persia came out, October 3rd, 1989. Wow, I feel like it just came out. That's crazy. No, The Lost Crown came out January 18th. I finished it February 3rd. It took
Mhm.
me 15 days, 16 days. That is a long time for me. You
That
know
is for
why?
you.
Because and it was 17 hours. It took me 17, 18 hours
That's
to
only
beat
an
the
hour a
game.
day. That's like you do that in
That's
like
an
2 days,
hour a
John.
day, because I'm not excited to play the Switch right now. It's become my second console. I've already talked about that. There's no energy to it. And so Mario Donkey Kong comes out mid February. I don't know what game I'm playing till then. I may not play any game
And
on
I
my
even
Switch
told
till
you I
then.
need a game with that because I'm going to play that two-player mode. So like if I'm that means I'm not. I don't even have a game right now. I literally
Right,
have zero game to play because I
right.
beat Stall today. I don't have anything. I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. We need energy. And the only
You
thing
know
that
what?
brings energy right now is the
the
Switch 2.
the more you talk about this, I'm honestly leaning towards your side more that we might be getting Switch 2 within the next couple days or the next 2 weeks because
Well, an announcement, yeah, like
no, yeah, no. But I agree. Like we're fucked if either way. If we don't get something, like we're just gonna be playing old games on the Switch for the next 6 months.
right.
That's
And
it. There's
that's been the plan based on what they've announced. But man,
that's been the
where's
plan
Mario
for too
Kart?
long. It's been
How
the
long
plan
do we
for
have
too
to wait
long.
for Mario Kart 9? You know what I mean? Like all of these things that we're
I
just
know.
where's Metroid Prime 4? I feel like all of it is invested in the Switch too. I think that's almost obvious.
So what happens if we do get a direct that says like, "Hey, we're getting Wind Waker Twilight Princess remake. Here comes Metroid Prime 4. Here comes some other weird game that we forgot about." Like if that all happens, like we're talking at least maybe best case holiday for Switch 2. If they show off like 2 or 3 new games.
Yeah. I mean and we kind of talked about holiday being possible, but it's just like the more you look at it, it's just there's nothing to do. I tell you what, PlayStation kind of lived on the whole remake thing for a bit. They did a remake of The Last of Us Part 1, and then we recently
Mhm.
got Last of Us Part 2. Now that came with a roguelike mode that I love, but
Sure.
remake, whatever. Nintendo, there's only so many remakes you can do before if they release the Wind Waker remaster, or not even a remaster, just the port, right?
Yep.
You know what? Like that would have been exciting a few years ago. But if I see that,
I'm not excited
if I
about
see
it.
that on a Nintendo Direct this week, I'm going to be mad because I'm going to be like, all we're getting is
Is
these
more games we've
ports.
already played. I could
Yeah,
go get my GameCube and play that.
I know. But like a few years ago, I'd be like, oh, cool. And then we're also getting this new game and this new game. But now they've just have too many
Yeah.
old
And
games
let's
coming at one
and let's
time.
be honest, a holiday release is kind of bad, right? Because
Ugh.
you're gonna sell out of demand too quick. A summer release actually makes a lot more sense
Yeah.
because you'd have time to get a second, third, maybe fourth wave of inventory for the holidays.
Yep.
You know
And
what
they
I'm saying?
sold
If
the
you just
Switch in March, of
yeah,
2017.
if you came out with a holiday release, even October, it's not giving you enough time to create the inventory for the demand of Christmas, which actually will hinder your sales. You need to come out earlier in the year to build up that inventory. And
If we don't get a Switch 2 until the end of the year, I'm
I'm
telling you,
buying a PlayStation.
I'm gonna have so few hours in my Switch. The only games that even come to mind as something to play is like maybe replay Xenoblade 3. I've been thinking about
Yeah.
that or the DLC, but there's nothing like
You know what? But you bring up a great point. Like for me, if we don't get something, I'll honestly probably go back onto the Luna and play something like an Assassin's Creed or Far Cry. And like, and I hate to admit it, the Luna could be my next console for the 6 months.
right.
Because what else am I going to do? I'll be honest, when we this time next year when we do our 2024 game of the year, I'm going to struggle to even have 10 games because every game I've played already this year has been like a backlog game. Like
Yeah,
it's there's nothing to play for me.
yeah, yeah. It's not exciting right now.
Well,
There's not a lot of buzz going on
I
in
think you
Nintendo
had
world,
cited
and
me in some great points and I think you made some really good points with it needs to happen now.
yeah,
Because it's not going to overshadow ports like Luigi's Mansion and Paper Mario and Peach's Showtimes. Those games are going to come, but make them all come by May. And I
yep.
don't think a Nintendo Switch 2 is going to overshadow those people say, well, fuck, I'm not buying Luigi's Mansion now. No, people are going to buy Luigi's Mansion because they want to play it and it's a remake, not because they've never, you know what I mean?
I would be excited for that stuff if it was also with, oh, and Metroid Prime 4 is coming for Switch 2, and Mario Kart 9 is Switch 2, and the new Mario game, a Switch 2. Can you imagine?
You think
Like,
they would announce all that with a console? I can't remember.
I think you can tease some stuff till later. Like,
Well,
I'd love
refresh
to
me.
see a 3D Mario on day one, but if you tell me
Yeah,
Metroid Prime 4 is coming out in 2024, even if it's holiday, then great. Like, get that energy
yeah.
going, and then maybe make a list of games that you are, boosting. Like I want to see the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom repackaging. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Link's Awakening, Age of Calamity, and all that stuff. Because there's a bunch of Zelda games that could use that sort of boost. And then you package that with maybe not even a Wind Waker port, maybe a Wind Waker full remaster.
How
You
about
know,
Wind Waker 2? Spread it on, baby.
that would be amazing. That's just all of that stuff just makes the whole year seem way juicier. And you're still talking about ports,
Yeah.
But you're also putting in those games we've been waiting for so long. It's very obvious a 3D Mario game has to be coming somewhat soon. It's
It's just
been
given.
freaking 7 years,
It's
six
a
and a half
given.
years.
It's your
Why?
face of the company.
Yeah, why would you not have a 3D Mario game, especially after the Bowser's Fury thing that everyone thought was like a microcosm of what the next game will be?
I hear you. Good conversation. Good stuff.
All right, we have some questions. First question from the Informant. What is a game that you feel like you are better than most in, multiplayer or whichever? Also, perhaps there is something here where we could have all the monthly Mayhem participants pick a game on Nintendo Switch Online that they feel they would beat everyone else at and have some matches to settle the score against the community. I feel like I'm better than most at Mario Kart 64 Battle Mode. I'm also pretty good at Tetris, but not so much the Game Boy version. I need the hold piece option. I like to have the shadow. This is an interesting thing. I think what he's kind of saying is here, what if we did a monthly Mayhem where everyone picks a Nintendo Switch Online game they think they are dominant in, and then somehow we have a format where you can get challenges, and the person who can hold off people the most is the winner.
It is fun.
That does sound fun. What would your game be?
Slay the Spire.
Nintendo Switch Online, pal.
Well, John, I have recently beat somebody in ice hockey. You don't want to brag or anything, but it could have been a fluke.
Got it. Yeah, I know. I had a suffocate and a unicorn mask for that one. I want my rematch.
I know that was brutal.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see and I couldn't breathe.
We both were like looking at the ceiling, trying to look down.
Yeah, I was like,
And then so, I mean, I'd like to say I'm pretty damn good in just like speed running Mario 1. I feel like I could put up a really good time.
That would be fun to like have a speed run mode.
Like you'd almost have to like I don't know how you do it, but that's the other problem. I mean, that way, at least if you did a speed run, it wouldn't matter if you rewound because it would take part of your time somehow.
Yeah, but there's just no way for them to do it. I know there's probably some people who think they could beat anyone in Dr. Mario, and that's definitely a 2-player.
I know I can't.
Game. F-Zero would be another one that you can play. I mean, anything that you can do head to head, I think works. I mean, like games like Ghosts and Goblins. Like I've beaten Ghosts and Goblins. I think I'm pretty good at Kid Icarus. I like Kid Icarus. But I think Pro Wrestling would be my game.
You're good at that
on
one.
there, right? I played that a ton as a kid. Is it there? I think it's there. Right?
It is there. We've played it.
It's there. Yep. Yeah, but I wonder.
I have to look.
Yeah, I think overall, if there's like a game, I would say mine would be like Sayonara Wild Hearts. Really good at that one. But like I don't know if I'm anywhere near as top tier. I think I'm pretty good at Tetris, but I know there's people that are way better. Tecmo Bowl, that would be a fun game to try to defend your rating.
NES Open Tournament Golf, old school golf. I'm pretty good at that. That game's hard. If you don't know that game, it's hard.
We did that for a monthly Mayhem a long time ago. Yeah, I think it's a pretty fun game. But I think it's just a matter of who's going to spend dozens and dozens of hours on it, right? You.
Sure. Punch Out? I think me and you are both pretty decent at Punch Out.
Yeah.
Like if someone said you can play Punch Out and keep going, like right now, like you probably haven't played it in at least a year or two, right? If I said, go play Punch Out until like no continues, you lose a battle. If you lose a battle, game over. How far did you go?
I usually can get to either Mr. Sandman
without dying once.
Yeah.
Not easy. You think you could get all the way there without losing one battle? Like
if my timing's off a little bit, Bald Bull can get me.
I said Soda Popinski can get me.
Soda Popinski, yeah, they can get a little tricky when you haven't seen them. You know, you give it a fight or two and you get it, but like, their movements are so crazy. But yeah, I can usually get into the third, the top tier.
I think I'd probably made it to Popinski without dying, and then I think that'd be my end.
But if you practiced,
of course, different story,
and then did a run, yeah, you could. And that's true of a lot of games too, right? Like if you could say who can beat Glass Joe the fastest, well, if you just are like good at the game and you just fight him, you might get beat out by someone who looks up the exact right way to punch Glass Joe
The
to get the quickest
stars, yeah,
knockout, when to uppercut and whatever, and
yep,
they can beat you to it. So it's got to be like in its natural flow. And I think Tetris is a great game. You can't study you can't
true.
study Tetris. Pilot Wings could be another good one to do 2-player. That would be kind of fun. I should play more Pilot Wings.
I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I definitely I'm the best person at Life is Strange that I know. I can
Can you
totally
be
get the
good at
best
that?
ending. I can save Kate. Yeah, I can do it all. I don't think anybody's going to do a 2-player game of that, though. Good question, informant.
Very good.
Max Power asks, how do you think the gaming industry will change over the next 5 years? What impacts will AI have?
Huh. It's a
Hmm.
great question, actually. We've seen a little bit now, right, with Pal World. Um, I personally think that, and I said this in the past, and I was wrong, but I think it's starting to happen more and more. I think we'll actually see the reverse opposite of what we see in games today. The amount of money that we spend on, not us, but video game development is blows my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we talked about Xbox and Microsoft a little bit, where like the amount of money they're losing money on certain things. I think we'll actually start to see the opposite a little bit. I think we'll start to see. I think we've peaked with game cost, game length, right? If you went to poll 10 gamers today, I think they would majority would vote that games are too long, right? People's lives are busy, especially now that post COVID, I feel like people are trying to get even busier because they lost that time. And I think we'll start to see the decline in these massive, expensive games. And how do you counter that? And Pal World shows it perfectly. I think AI will help generate some of those open world games, even, or character designs. We're seeing it with layoffs, unfortunately, but I think it is going to tie in a big picture of game development. And now that I'm saying that out loud, maybe I'm contradicting myself. Where if you're using AI and stuff like that, you could actually keep the expansion of large games, but kind of cheat certain ways with that. But I still think that majority of people want a little bit shorter games, polished games. Um, but right now on the Switch, I mean, we'll take anything. Let's be honest. But that's my thought. I think we've peaked, to be honest, as games. I personally would rather have a good 25 to 40, 50-hour game that's really well polished with great graphics and a great story, um, rather than those 80 to 100-hour games, just
Yep.
because. And I think a lot of people feel that way. So why spend 7, 8 years of development and $100 million on a game if it's not what people even want? That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes. I think we will see studios get smart. We saw a game like successful games like Dave the Diver, right? They call it an indie
Yeah.
game. It's really not an indie game, but we are so used to seeing those small games be from independent developers. But now you're starting to see sometimes that they're coming from bigger developers, and we still call
Hmm.
them indie games because we haven't adjusted our thinking. A couple of games that jump into my head this week, especially because we saw them in the state of play on PlayStation, is a game called Judas, which, if you're a big Bioshock fan, it's the creators of Bioshock 1, 2, and 3, or the creator. I forget his name. I've never played Bioshock. And he left the studio and he's making Judas. 10 years later, the studio has not put out one game. This is the first game. It's been 10 years. I remember seeing old videos about Bioshock Infinite on like ancient, maybe Pro Jared or something. And it's like, what? This guy hasn't done a game since then. 10 years. And it's ridiculous because it's like, this game is not going to sell gangbusters. The only
Hmm.
games that can sell gangbusters are games from certain, studios. And you're going to spend 10 years on it. We also saw Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League come out this week. And it has been 8 years since Rocksteady put out a game, but they put out all the Batman games. And it's like, you are spending this long, and the only way you can justify this length of time is if you're going to get huge sales, but you're
Hmm.
not going to get huge sales. It's ridiculous. On the other hand, we see a game like Hellblade 2, which has been, in the works for like 5-6 years, and the game is going to be about 5 or 6 hours. So that's an example of, we're getting the short game that we kind of, you and I like, but they're still taking 5 to 6 years to make it. So we got to find the happy medium here where maybe
Agree.
a game can be built in a few years and be about 10 to 15 hours and
I think you
polished.
lose the hype, right? And I mean, Metroid Prime 4 is I guess an example, whether you look at it good or bad, but like at what point is the hype either overrated or is the hype kind of gone? Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Metroid
when you
Prime
get it,
4 is a
it's
disaster that we don't
you
want to
get
like really admit to
it,
because
you're right. You're absolutely
Metroid
right,
doesn't
though.
sell. I mean, you and I, well, I mean, I don't know how much you love Metroid, but like
I don't.
the franchise is well known, but it doesn't sell. And Metroid Dread did not sell all that well. And that game didn't take nearly the amount of time that
That's why I
Metroid Prime
think
4
they've
has
got to
taken.
be doing something big with multiplayer because I just can't imagine it, like
Mm-hmm.
that much resources and time into something that's just another game. But yeah, you're right though. I think even the hype of these games tie up resources where
Mm-hmm.
regardless if you hype a game that takes 7 years versus a game that you can get done in 2 to 3 years, how much more sales are you going to make? You know what I mean?
You're not. Yeah.
Like just to be blunt, if Tears of the Kingdom came out and was really ended up being a 30-hour game, would it have affected the sales?
No.
It wouldn't have. It still would have been a great game. Everyone would have hyped about it and they bought it, and they could have maybe developed it in half the time.
Yeah.
So I think if people start to smartly see that, they don't need to spend all this time developing a game. People don't need that. But at the same time, I'm not a game developer. For all I know is the crux of Breath of the Wild it took 5 years, and the last year was really just adding these quests. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if you can get 80% there with a, you know what I'm saying? It might just be building the engine and the world might be the tough part. So you can't do that in less time. But
Yes. No, I
once you get
agree.
that, it's easy to add extra quests and stuff in the game. That's probably the short part.
I mean, they talked about the last year just polishing, and I don't know how
Correct.
much of that is true, but that's basically what they said they did for about a year. The
Yeah.
thing is, you accumulate all of this risk when you work on a game for 5 or 6 years. Like, look at Suicide Squad, right? That's a studio that's well known, well
Hmm.
loved, and they spent 8 years building this game, and it's coming out to it's very divisive. Not their fault, and all this risk, and if it doesn't sell well, how much money are you floating? How much capital do you
I know.
have? Nintendo can absorb some loss, Xbox can absorb lots of loss, even PlayStation can absorb some loss, but like you are putting so much risk, and a company that puts out a game that took them like 2 or 3 years to build can get explosive sales.
Yeah. Think about the resources you tie up, the salaries you're paying people
Mm-hmm.
over 7 or 8 years, right? Think about what you've done in the last 7 or 8 years from a work point of view. And then think about your salary and say, all you did, just you as one person, never mind the teams of people that they have
Yep.
on one thing.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. I'm not a game developer. It
Licensing,
just seems
yeah.
crazy from like a business point of view where you could have did something in half the time and doubled possibly your revenue if you put out 2 games in that time.
And probably built a game like Dave the Diver where you had like an
Yeah,
interesting idea. Ubisoft built this Prince of Persia, and it probably didn't take them near as long as
agreed.
their other games.
Avatar, let's say
And
for example. Yep.
yeah, and from what I've heard, Prince of Persia hasn't sold well.
I know, which is sad, but
I mean, it's a 7 out of 10. I know, but like but it got great reviews from most outlets, and it didn't sell well. So what it tells
but
you is there was a fan base. They were like crying for it, and we do that with Nintendo all the time. And then it
Metroid
comes out
Prime
and it
4.
doesn't sell.
Metroid
Metroid.
Prime 4.
They're probably going to lose money on Metroid Prime 4 by the time it comes out, if it ever
I,
comes out.
I'll be honest. I'm like just knowing the series. I'm completely on the fence. That game needs to do something special to make me play it. Simple,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, Metroid Dread was incredible. I kind of want to play it again, but it still didn't sell. I mean, it sold like a few million. That sounds
Mhm.
great, but this is a franchise that goes back to the 80s. This is a franchise everyone knows, and it didn't sell well. Maybe
No,
it's 2D stuff. Maybe people don't want that stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just us.
I hear you.
But yeah, I think AI will not have the impact that we think it will be. I think we'll see some indie games that use AI. The problem with AI is it's not predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use AI in certain things like imitate a voice or something. But like if you're using AI to like sort of dictate your game, I played a game, I don't remember the name of it, but Drew, it was a mobile game and it was like a dungeon game that was built on AI and it's hilarious fun. What is the name of that game? I want to look at AI Dungeon. There you go. If you've never played AI Dungeon, it's a free game. You can download it on your iPhone. And it is using AI to go through a dungeon. And so you can like do things in it and it will just make up the story as it goes.
Oh,
And
jeez.
I will be completely honest. I just play it as dirty as possible. I mean, I
Love it.
am filthy. It is outright porn going on in the AI dungeon for me. And it will like play along with it and it's hilarious. But in the end, I don't play it that often because in the end it's just regurgitating words. There's no meaning, there's no story, there's no soul behind it. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you're going to see AI be a huge deal. But like I told you, I think I made a prediction like a year or two ago. You're going to see a little side character that can say your name, your handle. So when I go by Zablanc in a game, I'm going to have at some point a character call me Zablanc because
Mm-hmm.
right now you never see that.
What the fuck
You,
type of
you,
game is this?
it's like a dungeon crawler game, but it's all text and
It's
you know,
text based. I'm not. This isn't a game. This is like reading a novel.
I know, but you can tell it like I took my pants off and then it'll respond to you. It's great. Trust me. Um,
I'll trust you. Let's just leave it at that.
I'll send you some screenshots. It gets bad with me because what else am I going to do? I'm not going to play it like a real game, right? It's not written by a person. It's just AI. So, you know, it's like I could put myself in a really sad situation and then start joking and it'll just joke with me. There's no soul to it. So AI will be used in little spaces, but in the end, you need a game with a strong narrative. Maybe a sandbox game. I'm not into sandbox stuff, but maybe like more sandbox games will start to leverage AI. People seem to like that shit, I guess. Maybe that's where. But like, please, don't make The Last of Us 3 be AI based or something like that. Nobody wants to see it. Save it
No.
for that. Save it for that other stuff. An AI dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody out there to play AI dungeon and send me like the worst screenshot possible. I want to see. I want to see how bad you can make it.
Sounds like a little bounty to me.
$50
No.
to the most filthy.
You'll just get an informant writing himself some dirty joke.
Oh my god! You know that guy's capable of anything.
He is. Well, John, that's going to wrap up our show. What a show, as always, longer than I always think. What do we have coming up the next, oh God, it hurts to say it, the next couple of weeks, because let's be honest, what's coming?
It's fucking nothing. There's nothing on the Switch, man. We
Nothing.
got Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remastered, starring Lara Croft. Comes out Valentine's Day, February 14th. And Mario versus Donkey Kong, February 16th. Demo
Hold on.
now available.
I'm going to throw in one more there for us, because it's going to take over the world. Golfinite. Kind of like Infinite. Golfinite.
This is where we are with the Switch. Golfinite is the third biggest release.
Is coming.
Are you typing
Wait a
something?
second. Why does it say September? That's not right. Hold on.
Oh my god.
Hold, please. That's
Does
not
that game
right.
have golf in it?
It's similar to Golf Story style mechanics. It's not coming out September. Why is it saying that? What country am I in?
It's coming out in Ireland.
Can you find this out? Why can't I find this?
I don't even know how to spell it.
Golf in it.
Like infinite?
It's coming out February 9th.
Wow.
February 9th.
Is it on the eShop?
It's on the eShop. Golf, INITE. It looks like Golf Story. I don't know how else to put it. It's $12.99. I'm going to be playing it. Handmode's going to be playing it. Maybe I'll get Bob Cousy and Zablant to play it. Maybe we'll have a little golf league going on.
Yeah, I will not be playing.
Come on.
It's funny, like some of the background looks like it, but the character looks like way more serious.
I think there's
it looks like it really is. I mean, that is really trying to rip off Golf Story. Even the font looks the same.
It has potential if the gameplay is like Golf Story, but it's more golf focused and not story focused could be a winner. I'm going to probably pick this up because what else am I going to pick up?
I think sometimes when you try to imitate, people feel that and they're like, you can just play Golf Story and just play the courses.
I know, but I can play golf in it. All right, John, what a show.
What a description. Oh my goodness.
See, a lot to say.
Begin your career as a professional golfer. Participate in training sessions, hone your skills, and show your talent to qualify for tournaments that will let you achieve success.
This game's more than you think it is. I cannot wait.
Red Deer
Pristine
Games.
Pines, Dusty Dunes, Grove, Serene Sky. Wait, wasn't there a sky level in Golf Story? This is Golf Story.
Yeah, they graphically are ripping off Golf Story. Sometimes it's fun to look at what other games the publisher has put out.
Well, don't do that to yourself.
They put out Smurfs: The Colorful Stories, Golf Dash, Nora the Wannabe Alchemist, Smurfs Learn and Play, Freaky Trip, and One Night Burlesque, which actually I saw in the eShop recently.
How about Meow Match? They put that out.
I'm trying to find one game that I have heard of and or played. This is a big list. They're obviously just publishing everything that some developer comes to them for. Like I could probably build something. Space Tale, To Leave, Bit Orchard, Mojito the Cat. I mean, is there anything that I've heard of here?
No.
Brawl Chess.
But until Golf in It comes out.
I mean, you can make an argument that any publisher like eventually will have their one big game. So any game could become. I literally have not even heard, except for One Night Burlesque, of any of these games.
This is the company that we bitch about every week when we look at the eShop. This is them.
No, the one that Radalika Games. Oh my god. Yeah,
every
I haven't even
game
heard
I'm
of
looking at is like a spin-off game. I feel like that they want to be something else.
They're trying to copy Garden Buddies. Yeah, I don't think this bodes well for your Golf in It.
I think it does.
Like I said, there's going to be at some point.
They're due.
You're due.
They are due.
Clumsy Rush, Swords and Bones.
Under Dungeon. It looks like Undertale. Oh my god.
Coming soon. I see red. Wait, their coming soon section is monstrous. Well, they got like 15 games and they're coming soon.
These people sound incredible. See, this is what we're talking about. Pumping out games left and right.
Yeah.
Clumsy Rush Ultimate Guy. Essentially, it's Fall Guys.
Yeah. It's good. No, it's bad Fall Guys. Just put the word bad in front of every game that you're comparing it to.
But that's all they do.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I could add this to you. The list keeps going. You're right.
It's forever.
Chess. Why don't you pick up this game, John? I'm gonna gift it to you. This looks great.
Because it's made by Red Deer Games.
Oh, this looks like the winner. You're gonna love it.
No.
$10. It's DLC. What did you have DLC for in chess?
DLC. Usually with chess, it's actually they charge for like chess sets. I don't know if that's what this is, but
it must be.
Plus, a lot of games sell fancy chess sets. Yeah, I know. I started a game real quick. Last thing I'll say. What is it called? Chess Kingdom. What is it called? Chess Kingdom? It just says Kingdom. Kingdom by chess.com.
Okay.
Chess.com is one of the online chess playing websites. It is the most mobile looking game you'll ever see. And you literally play chess as your battle. And then you win currency and whatever. And I was like, oh, what is it going to be? Like, do a mate in one and you win. No, I had to play a full game of chess against a very poor computer opponent. And I won and I got some rewards. But like, I had to play a whole game of chess to do that. Like that doesn't seem very relaxing to me.
No.
Not something I'm going to just play on the train, But there you go. It's so mobile looking. I swear to God, every game on mobile has to have a certain look.
I like it.
All right. That's all we got. We're good.
Peace.
Good night, dads. The Dads After Dark show is part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. You can subscribe to us anywhere podcasts are available. If you're listening through Apple or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps us promote our show, and we'd be grateful to hear your feedback. Check us out on Threads and Instagram at NDadsAfterDark. Send us a question to dadsafterdarkshow@gmail.com, and we'll read it on the show. Or if you want to hear yourself on the show, leave us a voicemail. See the episode description for a link to do that. Be sure to join us on Discord and our Dads After Dark channels. That's where we chat. You can participate in our monthly Mayhem contests, plus other activities such as Chubbies and so on. You can get access by joining the Nintendo Dads Patreon or by subscribing to their Twitch channel. A big thank you to Family Jewels for the show's music. Check out their YouTube to hear other awesome Nintendo cover tunes.